February 2025 was a long, cold, and dark month for Linda. Three big snowstorms on January 31st, February 6th, and February 13th made it so that from the start of the month, the only way to get around the city was by skiing or riding snowmobiles. But who had those? Valentine's Day felt like it was frozen in time. Thomas missed the storms because he had been traveling for work outside the country. He knew Linda didn't like when he went away. Since the end of the COVID emergency, he had to travel every few months to Northern Europe and South America to help with his family's business, which started before Linda came into the picture. This was new to Linda because they had married just before the COVID pandemic began. Each time Thomas traveled, he asked Linda to take time off work and come with him. He wanted to show her the family business, which was honest and fair, and thought she could have fun while he worked, but she always said no. She was afraid to fly. Patrick, their son, was too young, she was busy at work, or the travel plans were too much. She gave a different reason every time. Then Thomas tried to explain his work so she would understand why the trips were needed. Linda didn't want to hear about it. She said there was never enough time, and it sounded too hard to understand. To ease her worries, Thomas called her often, shared his location over WhatsApp, and sent photos, but both Linda and her friend Dee still felt something was off. Linda had no proof, but she distrusted his excuses. She didn't want stories, she just wanted him home. Her stubbornness made Thomas frustrated. Thomas returned from his trip one day before Valentine's Day. His flight was one of the last to land before the snowstorm closed the airport for nearly 2 days. But their Valentine's dinner was just frozen lasagna and broccoli. Then Linda had a good idea. Why not have a makeup date? They would celebrate Valentine's Day, plus their anniversary late on Friday, February 28th. They hadn't been able to celebrate their anniversary earlier because Patrick had been sick. They planned a nice dinner, some fun time at a club, and then a comfortable hotel room for the night. Patrick would stay with Mrs. Porter. They had promised to love each other 5 years before on January 1st, 2020, in Miami Beach. It was a small, private wedding with 50 guests on a fancy hotel rooftop, paid for by Thomas. The wedding took place exactly 1 year after Thomas moved to the U.S., and just under a year after they met. It was love at first sight. Linda loved Thomas's funny ways, his unusual habits, and his mysterious past. He looked very Scandinavian, but also had a bit of British style and a touch of South American spirit in him. A strange but wonderful mix. They met by chance at an IKEA store. He was buying things for a house he had just bought, and she was decorating the small apartment she shared with Dee. Linda took it upon herself to show him how things worked in the U.S. A few weeks went by, and their meetings kept happening again and again. She found it funny that he couldn't see her clearly from just 15 feet away because he didn't wear his glasses. At first, he said he was waiting for his eyesight to stop changing before getting LASIK surgery. Then, COVID came, and after that, he never had time to go. She quickly began to love his steady nature, his calmness, and the way he brought peace to her busy mind. His grown-up way of handling things. He was her safe place. She was surprised when he bought her a brand-new RAV4 after her old car stopped working. He didn't just rent it or pay little by little. He bought it outright. Her parents had worked hard her whole life but never could afford a new car. The car was in his name, yes, but he gave her the keys with no worries about insurance or yearly checkups. It was not a fancy car, but that didn't matter. It wasn't about buying her love with a car. He won her heart with his care, attention, and strong love. Dee, her old friend, had mixed feelings. She was used to having some influence over Linda and was unsure about Linda moving in with Thomas before they were even married. Their first and only child, Patrice, was born 11 months after their wedding, and now he was almost 4. Thomas was 33 when they got married. Now he was 38. He was very grateful to Linda and loved her more for agreeing to be a mother so soon after finishing nursing school. He wanted to be a dad quickly because he felt he was getting older and didn't want to be like some dads he knew who were almost like grandfathers. Linda worried about raising a child and starting a career at the same time. Thomas told her not to stress. He would handle the hard parts. So Linda, 22 at the time of marriage and now 27, worked as a nurse at a local clinic. Her hours were long and hard, but mostly during the day since the clinic was open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. She was honestly happy with her life, a husband, a paid house and car, a lovely son, and a good job. But sometimes she would daydream. What young woman doesn't dream of a special night like Cinderella had? It was normal. She began to want more. For example, after 5 years, she still drove the same RAV4. It was a good car, but her friends had nicer BMWs now. When she rode with Dee, she sometimes felt a little jealous. Dee noticed this and used it to her advantage. What Linda didn't know was that those fancy cars her friends had were the simplest models, and they were paying for them in ways that made life hard. They barely managed to pay their bills and kept borrowing money to keep up appearances. Linda had never lived that way. Thomas and Linda kept their money separate, but he always helped her out a bit. Thomas worked mostly from home. He knew how to design and build mobile games. He had created one by himself and sold it to a big game company before. GameCorp was very impressed with his skill in making deals. They asked him to come to the U.S. to find good games, get to know the founders, and encourage them to work with GameCorp. He was quiet and calm. He did not speak loudly. He rarely used strong words like awesome. When he said something was good, he really meant it. If something was just okay or bad, people would notice. The same qualities that attracted Linda also made his bosses trust him. He was good at building strong relationships with the founders of small mobile game startups, who were usually quiet people like him. His special kind of humor was liked by founders, but it was something Linda had to get used to, and her friends didn't understand it at all. He was a very capable introvert. Since 2019, he had been looking for new games from the half-finished basement of his simple townhome. He worked at the company office a few hours a week and sometimes traveled to meet founders. The rest of his time was spent with their child playing, caring for, and teaching them. He made a decent income, maybe around $200,000 a year. This was less than before, but he didn't mind. Linda did not ask about money, and he was okay with that. He just wanted to live like a normal person. Normal people have regular problems, and he had already dealt with many difficult issues from his past rich life. They lived in a townhome he had bought with cash through a video call before moving to the U.S. It was smaller and simpler than he could have bought, but that was fine. He did not want anything big. They had 2 Toyota RAV4 cars, both bought with cash a few months apart. Linda was a wonderful, hard-working wife, though sometimes she got lost in her own thoughts, and he had to gently bring her back. She also had some not-so-great friends, but life was never perfect. They had fun things for the seasons, a paddleboard and a good bike for summer, skis for winter, and hiking boots. They didn't own much else, no clutter in the garage or basement, just one laptop connected to a big screen. No big TV either, because he didn't enjoy watching sports and felt it took too much time. For now, this simple life was enough. He hoped that Linda would get over her fear of flying, which she had developed during the pandemic. Then he could slowly share his old world with her. He wanted to help her leave behind the friends he didn't think were good for her. He planned to quit GameCorp soon, even though he liked them, because that part of his life was ending. After that, they might go do something different, maybe work in a project to plant trees in South America. He was working on this plan, little by little. He would get her there soon. 1 week before their special night out, Linda told him that their friends Dee and Jane wanted to come with them to dinner and the club, along with their husbands Dave and Phil. "Tom, I'm sorry," she said. "I might have told them about our date, and now they really want to come too. But we'll have the whole night to ourselves later." Fine. He was upset, but like usual, he didn't show it. 3 days before their night out, he got called away on a trip to Chicago. A deal he had been working on suddenly had to be done quickly. This was the big one. Ghost Strike, the game everyone was talking about. It could make as much money as Angry Birds or Candy Crush. With the money he would get, there was no way she could say no to traveling with him. Finally. He told Linda about the trip, but left out the game's name and the money part because of a secret agreement. He said he'd be back early in the afternoon on the 28th and would have plenty of time to pick her up. It would be okay. She was very angry. He promised it would probably be his last trip for work. She didn't believe him. He begged her to understand. Later that evening, he heard her talking on the phone in the bathroom. The voice was quiet, but it sounded like she was upset. In bed, he said, "Linda, my job is to buy gaming companies. I'm going to Chicago to buy one. I thought it would take months, But the owners suddenly want to sell fast, that's all. Fly in, talk. Spend the night checking numbers, talk more, sign papers, pass it to the lawyers, and leave. It will be good for us, I promise. I'll tell you more at dinner. Please keep your fingers crossed for me. She smiled, and they shared a quiet, close moment together. He left the next morning and only slept about 8 hours in the next 2.5 days. Then, at noon on February 28th, he finally finished the deal. He wanted to rush straight to the airport, but the seller wanted to go to a nearby rooftop to celebrate with drinks. Thomas couldn't say no. He changed his flight and sent Linda a message, sorry, but he would meet her at the restaurant instead. She sent back an angry emoji. He made it to the airport, only to find the new flight was canceled. They put him on a later one and he got a middle seat in coach. It didn't matter. He would still make it to the club, just not in time for dinner. Now he was glad her friends would be there, so she wouldn't be alone. He sent another message to apologize. She called while he was going through security, but he couldn't pick up. He heard a voice message full of angry words. He chose not to call back and just texted before his flight left. Now he was angry too. He thought she was being unfair. If she only understood how his job worked, she'd know things like this happened. His flight finally took off half an hour late and landed 45 minutes late. They would already be at the club by then. He decided to skip the hotel and go straight to the club, suitcase and all. He called her, but she didn't answer. Her friends didn't either. Then he got a message from Jeff. Jeff Skinner was an American-British lawyer. He was more like a brother to Thomas, a friend he had known since they were both 18, during their first year at university in England. They were roommates all through university and graduate school. Jeff stayed in England until just a few months ago when he got divorced. After that, he decided to return to his home country. Not sure where to go, he chose to move to the same town as Thomas to start his law career there again. One day, Thomas got a message from Jeff. Thomas, I'm at Morrison's. Want to check the place. Your wife is here with friends. Thomas replied, Yes, I know. Why aren't you here? Jeff answered, On my way, traffic. 35 minutes. Thomas said, You should be here now. Thomas suddenly felt uneasy. He tried to call Jeff, but the loud music and noise made it impossible to talk. So, they went back to texting fast. Jeff wrote, I got here 15 minutes ago. Linda is with some football player. They were flirting. He touched her hand, she pulled back. Now at the bar, drinks, talking close, touching her. She touched his arm. Not good, Thomas. Jeff sent a couple of pictures that made Thomas feel sick inside. Please tell her to stop, Thomas wrote. Tell her I will be there soon, Jeff replied. The wait was so hard for Thomas. Jeff said, I did. She said this is on you. Your fault. You shouldn't have gone to Chicago with some woman. She said it's the last straw. I told her she doesn't know what she's doing and that this would hurt you. Impossible that you were cheating. I told her you were coming. Thomas asked, Jeff, did you cheat? Never. You know me. She is very jealous, and her friends make her believe wrong things. Are they still there? Yes. Ask them to stop her. More waiting came. I'm sorry, Jeff said. They just laughed. Said it's nothing. Just one night. Let her have fun. You should be proud Marc Lavalliere chose her. She deserves it. She's young. And the skinny one said you are too good not to forgive her tomorrow. Thomas thought, what nonsense. Jeff, that skinny one is D. She's the worst, Thomas said. Jeff, please, just video everything. Traffic cleared, I'm 10 minutes away. Thomas looked carefully at the pictures and videos as Jeff sent them. What did they show? A strong man, a typical attractive white American, very muscular like a football player. No one too easy to deal with. Men like Mark were rough and strong. They fought by pushing their weight. Thomas often used strategy instead of strength. If Jeff did not bring his wife back, this Mark would keep causing trouble. Thomas looked again at Linda's face. There was something there. Surprise, pride, and interest. Interest? No. She was too close to the football player. Thomas had to get there fast to try and save his marriage, if it still could be saved. Was she under the influence? Maybe. That was the only good reason Thomas could think of. Thomas walked into the club and quickly headed to their table. But before he reached it, he spotted Linda. She wore a blue dress and had strawberry blonde hair. She was walking out, holding hands with a tall, strong man heading for the back door. She looked back just then. By chance, their eyes met. Thomas was shocked. Her eyes showed a mix of feelings: anger, excitement, and a challenge toward him. It was like she was saying, "I'm getting back at you." Or maybe Thomas was only imagining it. "I'm sorry, mate," said Jeff, coming up behind him. "We can chase after them if you want. My car is out back." For what? She made her choices. Let her live with them. Then Thomas heard Dee say something to their friends with a laugh. "Lucky girl. She's going to have a good night." Thomas's anger rose fast. He went straight to the table. "What did you say?" Dave, Linda's husband, tried to calm things down. "Hey, no need for names, Tom. It's just one night. Let her have fun." "First, it's Thomas, not Tom. And I don't care. This was supposed to be my night with her. You weren't even invited." "But Thomas, it's Mark Lavalier. He's a great guy." "If this Mark Lavalier is so great, why didn't you give your wife to him?" "Hey, my wife's not—" "Are you sure? I could say the same about mine not long ago." "Thomas, Linda loves you. She's not that kind of person." "No, she's not. People who do that kind of thing work at it for a living. She's something else. And so are you, Dee." "Hey, I'm her friend, and you don't get to—" "Friend? You call yourself a friend? Let me tell you what a friend does. Friends watch out for each other. They keep their friends away from trouble. They stop them from drinking too much. They want the best for them and cheer when they succeed. Friends don't make things worse. Friends don't feed their fears. Friends don't make up stories about their husbands, especially when they know those husbands can be jealous. Friends don't push married friends into bad situations. You pushed her, Thomas, not me." "You're wrong, Dee. In your small, messy mind, you think I traveled to do bad things. Maybe that's what you would do if you could. Lady, every time I travel, I hardly get any sleep. I work hard to earn more money than all of you combined will in many lifetimes. Not because I'm special, but because you all are careless and lazy. You don't really know me because, unlike Mr. Mark Show-Off over there, I don't live to show off. And because of you, you dragged your friend down with you. And now she's facing the end of her marriage." Everyone was silent. Dave put a hand on Thomas's shoulder. "Tom, aren't you—" He didn't get to finish. Before he realized it, Thomas had Dave pinned against the table, holding one arm behind his back and his neck held tightly. "Say one more word, and you'll regret it. I don't think your brain is capable of any smart thoughts." Dave was confused and hurt, but just nodded. The club's bouncers were coming closer, but Thomas let Dave go and raised his hand. The bouncers stepped back a little but stayed nearby. Everyone in the club was watching. "Yes, Dee, divorce. You can tell your friend about that when you see her. You all should feel shame. The only one who tried to stop her was Jeff, who barely knows her. You so-called friends just pushed her into this. If I see you again, there will be trouble. No warnings. Jeff, can you stop by the house tomorrow morning? I know it's Saturday, but I want to serve her papers first thing Monday." He started walking toward the exit. "Thomas, Linda's coat and purse," Jane shouted. "Oh, right, she forgot. How careless of me." He grabbed the purse, opened it, and poured its contents on the table. Linda's phone was inside. "I really married someone so thoughtless." He took her car keys, then pulled off his wedding ring and added it to the pile on the table. Then he left. 5 minutes later, Thomas was in the hotel parking lot, putting his roller bag in the RAV4 when his wife's 4 friends appeared behind him. "Thomas?" Jane's voice called out. He turned quickly and gave Dave and Phil several hard hits that left them doubled over on the ground. He raised his fist toward Dee but held back. When he finally lowered his arm, one woman was visibly shaken. Their husbands were curled up on the floor. "I warned you." Dee and Jane knelt by their husbands, crying. "You jerk! We just came to say we were sorry. Now they will be hurt for weeks," said Dee. "Good. I'll be hurting for years. Goodbye. We'll take this to court." "You'll have to pay," Jane said. "Go ahead. It'll be money well spent." "Thomas, please. Here, take Linda's purse and coat. We didn't mean for this to happen," Jane said, tears in her eyes. "Fine. I know what to do with her things." He took them, found a dumpster nearby since the hotel was being fixed up, and threw everything inside. "I could wish you a good night, but that's not really what I want." He got into his car and drove away. Thomas was very tired. Aside from a short nap on the plane, he had been awake since early Thursday, Still, he wasn't ready for bed. He decided to pick up Patrice right away. He wanted to be careful. Right now, Patrice was the only good thing he had left. He would give up everything before letting the boy go. At 11 p.m., he rang the doorbell at Mrs. Porter's house. The old widow was surprised to see him so late. "Is something wrong? Where's your wife?" she asked. Thomas thought for a moment about what to say. Then he spoke honestly. "She left me at the club to spend the night with a local football player." The woman's eyes grew wide. "Linda? Our Linda? You can't be serious." "Do I look like I'm joking?" He showed her some videos and pictures Jeff had sent. My goodness, what a shock. How could she do this to you? I guess I didn't know my wife as well as I thought. What will you do now? Move on. She doesn't know me as well as she thinks either. You won't do something you'll regret, right? No, I'm not that kind of man. But I think she and her friends think I am softer than I really am. They'll find out the truth. He smiled a little. Can I take my son now? He gently put his sleeping son in the back seat, sent Mrs. Porter the money for the night plus a tip, let her hug him, said goodbye, and went home. He thought about calling a locksmith to change the locks, but figured there was no need. Linda had taken her keys and phone with her. He tucked his son into bed and went to sleep, wishing he could rest forever. Dee and then Linda D had her reasons for pushing her husband and friends to join Linda and Thomas that night. She heard Mark Lavaliere went to the Morrisons on Fridays to find women, often married women, looking for a good time that could last a night or even a weekend. Dee wanted to spend time with Mark, but she could not get Dave to go out, unless they had a big reason, like a party or celebration. Linda gave Dee the perfect excuse. During dinner, Dee kept talking about Mark until, just as she hoped, he showed up, walked to the bar, ordered a drink, looked around, and then came to their table. But to Dee's surprise, Mark chose to talk to Linda. Linda planned to say no, but then she looked into his eyes. She hesitated. Thomas was late and she was upset with him. Maybe it was good he wasn't there now. She was still unsure about those trips he had been taking and whether they were really for work. Then she looked at Dee and saw what? Jealousy? Envy? Something else? Forget Thomas. Linda took Mark's hand and went back with him to the bar. They drank, talked, and danced a little. Back at the bar, they had some more drinks. But Linda didn't drink too much. She wasn't young anymore. She felt excited. At first, she had agreed to go with Mark just to get back at Thomas. She had hoped Thomas would come in, see what was happening, get upset, and change his ways. But Thomas was late, and Mark was hot. Her playful teasing was growing into something more. She wanted this man. It was just desire. That annoying friend of Thomas came by, the one who had recently moved into town. They had some past together, but that didn't give him any right to act like Thomas's protector. What was his name? Josh? No, Jeff. Jeff begged her not to do it. He said it would hurt Thomas badly. But what did Jeff really know? She knew her husband, and this guy was new. How much could he know about Tom? They had been together 5 years. Of course, Tom would forgive her. He might be upset for a while, but then she would make it right, and everything would go back to normal. She told Jeff to leave and never come back. Once inside Mark's Lamborghini, she didn't waste time. She acted without thinking. By the time it was over, they were almost at his house. Mark's home was huge and very fancy. The decorations were a bit too much. Big lion statues were spitting water by a large round fountain at the entrance. The living room had shiny marble floors and walls, a huge golden mirror, and leather sofas with a zebra pattern. In the center was a large vase full of fake flowers. At another time, she might have loved it, but she had started to learn a bit about good taste from Tom. This place was, what was it called? Nouveau Rich? It looked powerful, but also too much. But she didn't get to enjoy the house. Mark pushed her to the bedroom right away. He hurried and was not gentle. She wasn't very ready, and it hurt a bit too much. Later it got better, but it wasn't really good. Mark finished, and she didn't feel the same. The second time was a little better. She felt some. Then he took her from behind. At first it felt okay, but there was a big mirror on the wall, and when she saw herself in it, she didn't like what she saw. This was not a nice moment of closeness. It was rough, a one-sided act. A stranger who didn't care about her feelings. Unlike Thomas, who was loving and gave so much. Tears formed in her eyes. She asked the man to stop, but he didn't listen. She was held tightly and couldn't do anything. She just tried to stand it, sniffing and thinking of Thomas and Patrice. What was she thinking? Thankfully, he finished quickly. He got up and went to the bathroom, leaving her alone in the room. She looked for her purse so she could call an Uber, Thomas, Dee, anyone. She wanted to go to a hotel or back home, to leave that place. But there was no purse. Stupid. She finally realized she needed to use the bathroom badly, but the man was still in there. She ran downstairs to the powder room. Relief. It burned. She was sore. No wonder. She cried for 5 minutes, then pulled herself together and went back upstairs. She needed to ask him for his phone. Mark was sleeping. She tried to wake him once, twice. No luck. How could he be so thoughtless? She cried again. She found his phone and iPhone. Face ID didn't work with his eyes closed. She tried to wake him again. No success. She looked around the house for a landline. Of course, none. Who had those these days? She thought about going to a neighbor's, but it was dark and cold outside. She felt tired. She put her dress on and lay down on the couch. She'd have to wait until morning and ask Thomas to forgive her. Thomas heard noise in his dreams. The noises became part of a video game he was playing. It was a strange game with strange players. Then he turned, and the dream changed. He was surfing on a beach in Brazil. He was happy there, surrounded by sun and waves. Suddenly his phone rang. No more dreams. He saw a number he did not recognize and hung up. It was 7:13 a.m. He went back to sleep. The phone rang again. This time he answered. "Tom," she whispered. He knew the voice right away, but was still sleepy and slow to wake. It was cold and dark in the room. The heater was acting up. "Tom?" she whispered again. He remembered what happened last night. His mind and body sank back into the cold room. "Tom? Are you there?" For the first time, he spoke sharply. "My name is Thomas. What do you want?" He never spoke to her like that. Before, he always called her sweet names. Now she was afraid. "Thomas, I'm sorry. I came to the door, but I forgot my purse, my phone, and my keys. I knocked, but you didn't hear me. I borrowed someone's phone. They were walking a dog. It's cold outside. Can you please let me in?" "No. Stay outside." He heard her cry. Then he had an idea. "In 15 minutes, don't knock. I don't want to wake Patrice. Thomas, I'm freezing." He ended the call. He got dressed quickly and gathered some things by the door. He waited outside when she came up the steps. She was only in her nightdress and heels. Snow was on the ground. She must be very cold. That was her problem. He watched her through the window as she stood there. Her hair was a mess. She looked tired and worn out. The woman hadn't bothered to clean up. He grabbed his camera, not his phone, but his nicer Nikon that he rarely used now. He set it to take several pictures quickly, adjusting the settings for the best quality. He wanted to capture everything clearly. He opened the door and took several photos of her. Then he locked the door again and checked the pictures. Satisfied, he put the camera away and reopened the door. Linda looked upset. "What was that for? Proof for the divorce? For the—" "These photos, along with videos from the club and the security cameras, are enough to show what happened. I'll win custody." Her eyes grew wide. "What videos? Divorce? Custody? Tom? Pete? It's Thomas, not Tom, you careless woman. Show me your hand." She raised her right hand. "Your other hand." She hesitated. Tears started falling. She was shaking. Thomas didn't care. There were marks and a ring on her left hand. He took a paper towel, soaked it in rubbing alcohol, and gently pulled her ring off. For a moment, she thought he might clean it. "You don't have to. I can clean it." "You didn't even think about taking off your wedding ring when you were with him, did you?" She looked down, feeling ashamed. "Answer me." "He told me to keep it on." He said it excited him. "I don't know who is worse, him or you." He placed the ring on the concrete steps. He grabbed a hammer nearby and hit the ring hard until it broke. The gem shattered, and the metal bent out of shape. He picked it up with a look of satisfaction and threw it onto the driveway. Linda was shocked and crying. "Why did you do that? It was your grandmother's. I was going to give it to Patrick to give to his bride. You destroyed it." The ring wasn't an ordinary diamond ring. It was a ruby ring worth over $350,000. It had been in Thomas's family since a great-grandfather fought in a famous battle in 1805. Linda didn't know any of this. Thomas knew, but didn't care. No, Linda, you destroyed it. You ruined what it meant to my family when you let him disrespect it. Now get off my property. He turned and closed the door. She knocked hard. Thomas, please, it's my home too. He opened the door but kept the safety chain on. It's not what the deed says. Let me see Patrick, please. After last night, the least you can do is show some respect. Start by learning your husband's and your child's name. It's Patrice, for goodness sake. And no, you won't come into this house or see your child all dirty from that terrible man and who knows what else. You smell like you've been with someone else. Clean yourself up and come back tomorrow. I need time to think, and I need to meet Jeff without you here. She felt scared again. Why do you need to meet Jeff? To talk about divorce. Her legs almost gave out and she had to hold the handrail. Thomas, please tell me you're just angry. Tears filled her eyes. Please don't leave me. Let's talk. I made a mistake. Please forgive me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. Sorry doesn't fix this, Linda. You want to talk? Fine, let me explain, since your mind seems confused after what happened last night. It was supposed to be our special night, our celebration. But you invited your bad friends to join us. Then you left me, made fun of me in front of your friends, in front of everyone, on Valentine's Day, on our anniversary, the night when we were going to celebrate the deal that could change our lives forever. And you ruined it all. Why? Just because my client asked me to have a beer? They sold their company to us, Linda. They wanted to celebrate. I agreed. Then the flight was late because of snow. What could I do? Complain to the weather? You have let your jealousy get out of control for too long. How many times did I ask you to get help? I put up with your jealous outbursts. Most of the time, I thought they were cute, sometimes annoying, but last night no more. You listened to that troublemaker D, who clearly isn't well and fills your head with wrong ideas about men. Then you made up nonsense in your mind and acted on it. Yes, I was late. No, I wasn't with anyone else. I never was. Not for lack of chances, Linda. The deal, Linda. Do you know how much we were going to get? Not Game Corp, but us? $5 million. Tax-free because the company is registered in Dubai. I was going to split it between you, me, and Patrice. That was the surprise I wanted to tell you last night. I bet even your new man isn't making that much yet. Do you still think you made the right choice? Leaving me for someone like he is? Was he at least right for you? Did he treat you well? Linda showed a mix of surprise, shame, and regret. He's not my boyfriend, Tom, and it was a bad experience. He wasn't like you. You don't get to call me honey anymore. Not ever. And if it really was as bad as you say, and I have no reason to believe you, it serves you right. His voice grew colder. But let's just say for a moment that I believe you. Let this be a lesson. What did you expect? A perfect night with your prince? He laughed sharply. That's the problem, you silly fool. Perfect stories only happen in fairy tales. Calling her family names was too much. Her family worked hard and cared for each other. He took a deep breath. Calling you trash was unfair to your good parents. But yesterday you didn't act like them at all. Sometimes a child makes different choices, but that's not the parent's fault. Now leave. Come back tomorrow, maybe I'll hear your side then. Go to your parents or to Dee. You both made bad choices. Go do what you choose. Goodbye. He shut the door. She knocked again. What? I don't have my phone. Oh, should I call Dee or your parents? Dee, please. I'm calling your parents. No, please. I'm too embarrassed. Like I wasn't embarrassed leaving the club alone. He was dialing on loudspeaker. Thomas, is something wrong? His father-in-law asked kindly. He was a good man, an electrician, quiet but smart, very kind and deeply religious. They didn't always talk much, but respected each other a lot. Dad! Yes, and it's not a good thing. Your daughter was not honest last night. I got to town late because of bad weather. When I got to the club where we planned to meet, she had been drinking and acting carelessly with someone else. I saw her leave through the back door with a stranger. She just came back to the door now. She lost her purse, her phone, and some important things. He didn't say he could have brought those things back with him. Her dress is messy and she lost her ring. I'm not letting her inside my house like this. I think you should come and pick her up before she gets cold. Quiet. Dad, are you there? Thomas, are you joking? Do I sound like I'm joking? Should I send pictures and videos too? No, son, don't. I'll come in 20 minutes. It's very cold outside. Please let her inside. What? Show her kindness after what she did? I'm sorry, Dad, but I'll make sure she stays safe. Then he hung up. Linda was sitting on the steps, shaking and crying hard. What were you thinking last night? He said quietly. Here. He grabbed the last few things he had lined up behind the door. A pair of thick socks, her winter boots and coat, jeans, and a bag of clothes he packed quickly. Put these on and leave. See you tomorrow, or maybe never. Tom. But the door was shut. Linda was crying. Thomas leaned against the door and took a deep breath. He could hear her sobbing outside. He looked through the side window. She was dressed and sitting on the top step, still shaking. Oh, no. 2 minutes later, the door opened. Linda looked up with hope, but Thomas quietly handed her a banana and a thermos with coffee, then closed the door again. 22 minutes later, Thomas watched as Linda slowly walked to her father's truck. They drove away. He went to his kitchen, turned on his coffee machine, and made a cappuccino. That machine was his one small luxury, a special gift from a member of the Miele family. It was a rare model not sold in stores. His morning coffee did not bring him peace that Saturday. He stared at a framed photo of their wedding and felt the urge to throw it out the window, but it gave him no comfort. Burning her wedding dress in the fireplace, while recording it and sharing with Linda D. and her parents, did not ease his anger either. Dee sent a text with a crying face, saying sorry and asking him to forgive Linda. He replied with a harsh message telling her he didn't care. Then he added that she could bother all the NFL, NBA, and NHL players for all he cared. She texted back saying they wouldn't press charges if he forgave Linda. He didn't reply. It all seemed nonsense. Thomas looked up. Light snow was falling again. He remembered a clear dream he had about surfing and knew what to do. He grabbed his laptop and passports for himself and his child, then opened Expedia. He bought 2 round-trip business-class tickets to Sao Paulo, Brazil for that same night, stopping in Newark. He planned to leave the house by 7 p.m., be at the airport by 7:30, fly to Newark at 8:30, land at 9:30, and fly to Sao Paulo at 11:30 p.m. He would arrive around 9 a.m. local time on Sunday, then a taxi or rental car would take them to the beach. In about 30 hours, they'd be at the shore. He would teach Patrice to surf, 7 p.m. There was time to talk to Jeff, sign and notarize any papers, pack, and get to the airport. He had no plan to use the return tickets, but 2 people buying last-minute one-way tickets to South America would look suspicious. He paid for the tickets with his other credit card, the one connected to the BVI trust account that had been active long before he became a loyal IRS customer. The IRS couldn't touch that account because it wasn't officially his. He smiled to himself. He really liked his time in the U.S. and enjoyed working with Americans. They were direct, honest, practical, and had an almost endless hope for the future. So different from the Europeans he used to do business with. He would miss that part. But leaving the U.S. meant breaking ties with the IRS and with Linda, and he could end the expensive trust setup. Good riddance twice over. Linda and the IRS. No, not really. He did care for Linda, and it would hurt to leave her. No, she had already left him. Later, Patrice woke up. Dad, where's Mommy? Mommy is out with a friend. Patrice, we're traveling tonight, just the 2 of us, to Brazil, the country where I grew up. Mommy will join us later, okay? He hated lying to his son, but there was no way he would leave him behind, raised by a single mother who wasn't faithful. Nothing against nurses, actually, quite the opposite. But Linda worked long, difficult hours and would not have the time or means to raise their child properly. Not when he could give the boy the best education and support money could buy. Okay, can I watch Trash Truck? Sure, buddy. You can watch it all day today. Let me fix breakfast first. Thomas started packing quickly until Jeff arrived at 11 a.m. Jeff brought his assistant Emily to act as a witness, just in case. Jeff did not work in family law, but he knew the basics well enough. Of course, he had a copy of the prenup that he had helped Game Corp's lawyers prepare for Thomas years ago. Thomas, the prenup is clear, Jeff said. If she has reason to divorce you, the house stays with you because you owned it before the marriage. You also have no mortgage on it. You bought both cars, so those are yours. She gets custody, and you must pay child support and spousal support since you earn more. But she has no claim to your assets, neither local ones nor the trust. Your financial assets were always separate, and she can only claim what she brought into the marriage. She's always short on money. She doesn't earn much and is paying off student loans not a lot, but still, she's not good with money. She has a small 401k and maybe $1,000 in the bank. I have to send her some money every month, and she uses my credit cards. I never minded. Nurses only earn good money if they work in big hospitals, not small clinics. Right. Anyway. Emily, can you give us some privacy? After she left the room, Thomas said, Jeff, I'm flying to Brazil with Patrice tonight. No. Yes. You know that the country will never give a child to a parent living in another country, and I love that boy. I spend more time with him than she does. I have the means to take care of him. She was unfaithful. I don't care what the law says. I will spend all my money if I need to, but you know I won't have to. Right. But have you thought this through? Yes. Please prepare the papers for separation or whatever they're called for me to sign today. Today. I will leave them with you to give to her, and the power to let you hire a lawyer to handle our divorce, with you as my representative. Just don't file the divorce before I say so. Don't tell her where I am. I will also cancel her credit cards today. What about the house? There will be a locksmith here soon. Jeff, I want this house given to charity, any charity, before 10 a.m. Monday. Can you do that? It must happen before she can do anything legal to stop it. I only ask two things: that they put someone to guard the door, and that she can only take her personal things out, not the furniture. Wow. This house is worth what? $400,000? That won't make much difference. I know, Thomas. Just saying you could give it to her. Why are you defending her? You were there. You saw everything. Let her new partner buy her a house. I am not defending her. Sorry. Yes, I was there. It was terrible. I'm glad you weren't, or else things could have been worse for you. Thomas laughed softly. There's this charity that helps women who need safe places to live. Emily knows the leaders there. She can talk to them today, and I will get the title company ready for Monday morning. No mortgage, no checks to clear, no problems. Easy. Even if they can't use this house, they can sell it and use the money to buy another one somewhere else. Linda will come here tomorrow morning. She'll panic when she finds no one home. Let her worry for a while, then text her to come see you Monday in your office, okay? Not tomorrow. Monday, please. Jeff, she broke me for good. She can be upset for a day. It's fair. It's her son, Thomas. You're separating a mother and her child, so no, I don't think it's fair. In fact, I think it's very cold. But you are hurting, and I saw what she did to you. I'm your friend first, and always, ever since Oxford. I will do whatever you ask, as long as I don't get in trouble. For the first time since this all began, Thomas had a tear. Since Oxford. The meaning behind those words was clear, but left unspoken. You talked to her, not me. Was she drunk or under something? Because I might accept that, though, with difficulty. No. Then what was she thinking? Thomas, I don't know. And do you really want to think about that? Thomas sighed. No, not really. Jeff, you know me. I can't be that cold man. But right now I have to be. I did everything for this woman. I put up with her jealous moods, her fear of flying, her not wanting to travel, her not caring about my past, her friends who didn't understand much, even her bad taste in furniture. He waved his hand around. And this is how she treats me? I don't care about her. Thomas, I didn't think you used words like that, Jeff said, teasing. Ah, you too, Dr. Skinner, a football player, Thomas said, trying to sound like he was from Oxford. If she had gone after a Formula One racer or a tennis player, maybe I could forgive her. No, you wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. Stop pretending to be fancy. There's nothing wrong with football, and that's both kinds, just in case you ask. Are my jokes getting boring? Yes. And I know you don't like either sport. They stood up and hugged. Jeff kissed his cheek and Thomas held him tighter. Jeff and Emily used Thomas's office in the basement to get the papers ready and print them. They ordered pizza for lunch and kept working. At 2 p.m., Thomas stopped packing to talk on a call with the head of the charity where he was giving the house. The woman seemed confused and a little unsure, but they convinced her, and in the end, she was very thankful. By the end of the day, Thomas had packed 8 big suitcases, He had even run to a nearby store to buy more. 2 had his clothes, 4 had Patrice's toys and clothes, and 2 had things he didn't want to leave behind, mostly his coffee machine. He would have to pay extra for all the bags, but he didn't care. They sat down to sign the papers, had them officially approved, and said goodbye. Jeff and Emily had come by Uber. They left each in one of Thomas's cars. They planned to sell the cars and keep the money as a deposit. Jeff took the new house keys with him. Thomas looked around the living room and then his favorite spot, the kitchen. He felt sad to leave. It was a simple house with a great kitchen where he had good times with a woman he loved. Tears came to his eyes. He closed the door behind him and left for good. Linda rode back to her parents' house without saying much. What was there to say? She cried now and then, and her father didn't know what to say to make her feel better. When they got close to the house, he just asked, "Is it true?" "Yes." "Why?" "I don't know, Dad, I don't know." She started crying harder. "He was right. I made a big mistake." "You didn't make a small one, but you are not worthless. You are my daughter. But you did mess up badly. Just hope you can fix things. There's no one better than him, and you hurt him. No one can take that easily." "I'll let you talk to your mother," he said, leaving his daughter with no choice. He said he had some work to do. Truth was, he didn't want to stay there. He sent a message to Thomas, saying sorry on behalf of his family. He was smart enough not to ask for a talk or forgiveness. Thomas would do that if and when he was ready. Linda's mother fed her and then asked her to tell what had happened. It was hard for Linda to speak. Her mother tried not to show any anger, but she was upset. Not just at Linda, but also at Dee, Jane, and their husbands. She was especially unhappy that Linda couldn't see the truth about Dee. "But Ma, Dee is my friend, and she was sure he was cheating on me," Linda said. "Linda, a real friend helps you, protects you, helps you see the truth. If Dee really cared, she would know how good Thomas is. Smart, hardworking, strong, ready for success. Thomas cheating on you? That's nonsense. Dee isn't your friend, she's jealous. If she were, she'd see how much Thomas only loves you, how much he cares for you. He is there to support you," her mother said, voice firm. "If Dee were your friend, she would tell you to love and care for him, not to doubt or hurt your relationship. But she is selfish and jealous. She envies you because she can't have what you have. So she gives you lies to hurt you. She wants to break you down, and you believe her. She is not your friend, Linda. How many times have I said this? Think about your dad. Think about Thomas." Linda just cried. "What will you do now?" her mother asked gently. "I don't know, Ma. He said to come back tomorrow. He didn't want Patrick or Patrice to see me like this." "You look a mess," her mother said. "Please, Ma. I feel awful already." Her mother was calm. "All right. You will take a shower and change your clothes. Throw away that dress." Linda looked up, surprised. "Do I have to? I thought I might wear it with the—" "Yes, you do. I don't want to see it again, and I bet Thomas wouldn't either. Are you using birth control?" Linda's eyes grew wide. "No. That's not good. You know how we feel about these things." "But the last thing you need now is an unexpected problem. We will go to a pharmacy and get the plan that helps after. And this stays between us, understood? No one else, especially your father." Linda nodded, wiping her eyes. "Then we will go to a clinic to get you checked for anything risky." "Ma," Linda said, covering her mouth. "Do you really think that—" "Linda, a football player picked a random woman at a club without thinking about the risks. You have to get tested, as many times as needed." "Shit! That's the last time you swear in this house." "Sorry, Mom. Where's your wedding ring?" "Thomas took it." She couldn't bring herself to say what really happened. "That's not good. Just hope he calms down by tomorrow." Linda and her mother came back from the clinic after 4 p.m. She ate a late lunch and early dinner together and went to her old bedroom. The doctor had prescribed a pill to help her relax and sleep, and she took one. Still, she cried a lot. Her older sister, Carol, passed by as Linda was heading to the bathroom. Carol asked their mother what was going on, but got a sharp answer. "It's between her and her husband. Don't get involved." Carol quickly sent a message to Thomas. She always thought he seemed too perfect. Now he had finally made a mistake. Thomas, born in Brazil with Belgian and Swedish parents, didn't want any problems at check-in. He showed all their documents, his 3 passports, his U.S. green card, and his son's multiple passports. He said he was taking his son to visit family in Brazil and that the boy's mother would join them later. Many people think having 3 citizenships is not allowed, but it only becomes a problem if a country says so. Waiting in the Newark business class lounge, Thomas checked WhatsApp. He had messages from Carol. She had seen Linda crying and didn't know why. Like any protective sister, she guessed that Thomas had caused trouble. She had asked others in the family and friends who also sent Thomas questions or accusations. Even a friendly neighbor from Canada had messaged him about it. This made Thomas angry again. He didn't want to be seen as the bad guy. No way. He turned on his computer and wrote a page explaining his side of the story. He tried to keep his words calm and polite, but didn't edit much. He explained why he needed to speak up now, because of Carol's rumors. It had to stop before his name was harmed. He also added photos Jeff had sent him pictures from the night before, at the bar, on the dance floor, showing affection, and one of Linda looking upset the next morning. He included close-up photos of marks on her skin, stains on her dress, and bits stuck in her hair. Then, he added videos with timestamps showing her dancing, leaving the club, and arriving home to OneDrive. He made links that only let people watch, and added these links to the main document. What started as one page with words and pictures grew into more than 10 pages. He saved it all as a PDF and sent it through WhatsApp and email to everyone he could think of. Linda's sister, parents, other family members, her church group including the pastor, her boss and co-workers, her friends Dee and others, and their neighborhood chat. He also sent it to Jeff Skinner. Some photos and a link to the PDF went to Mark Lavaliere's Facebook and Instagram, as well as Linda's pages. Thinking a bit more, he sent it to the local newspaper too. Why not? To Carol, he simply wrote, "I didn't want to hurt your sister's name, but you left me no choice. Hope you're satisfied. See you around. Never." He had never liked her sister. She was always too self-important. Now he felt justified, imagining the trouble Linda would face the next day. A few more things to do. He wrote an email to his boss to say he was quitting right away. He asked the boss to look at the same PDF he had shared with everyone. He gave up his commission since he wouldn't be there to finish the work. He also emailed his accountant to start ending his U.S. tax and residency status by March 1st, 2025. He was done and felt a weight lifted. A part of his life was closing. Not the way he wanted, but still an end. He closed his laptop, took his son's hand, and went to the gate to board the plane. He slept well in his business class seat, which could lie flat. He woke briefly during some shaking in the air, thought about the harsh messages he sent, and felt sorry for himself. That wasn't like him. His parents, may they rest peacefully, had taught him better. His mother, who always acted fancy, would have said he got what he deserved for marrying someone she didn't approve of. It wasn't fair at all. Linda's parents were honest and good people, better than some in his mother's world. And until 2 days ago, Linda was the same. Or so he thought. Now none of that mattered. The next few days would be busy. He had to find someone to clean the house, hire a nanny for Patrice, look for a kindergarten, buy a car, and get insurance. He wondered if his dad's old Land Rover from 1980 was still around. He planned to call a friend and maybe buy it back to fix it up. It would give him something to look forward to. Luckily, he never let his driver's license expire, and he still had his local bank account. Then he remembered he hadn't canceled the credit cards he shared with Linda. There was still a lot to do, and he wasn't out of trouble yet. Sleep, Thomas. Rest and save your strength. Linda and her mother arrived at Thomas's house on Sunday around 10 a.m. They knocked, but no one answered. The lights were off, and the house looked empty. Linda tried the garage door code, but it didn't work. She felt a little worried, but tried to stay calm. "Maybe they went out for breakfast," she said, trying to sound hopeful. Her mother looked worried, but didn't say anything. "Let's have some coffee and come back later," she suggested. At the coffee shop, Linda had an idea. "Mom, can I call Dee?" Her mother looked doubtful. Why? Earlier, they had agreed Linda would stop seeing her old school friends. "It's not what you think. Maybe she has my purse with my keys. And my phone," Linda explained. Her mother took out her phone and called Dee. The coffee shop was quiet, so they put the call on loudspeaker while Linda stayed silent. "Mrs. Brown, I'm so sorry," Dee started. "Enough, Dee. What kind of friend pushes Linda to do wrong? Do you have her purse?" "Yes. We tried to give it to Thomas on Friday, but he didn't want it, so we kept it." "And you didn't think to bring it to us yesterday?" "Thomas was very upset. We thought it was better to give them some space. Then we saw his message this morning, and—" "What message?" Linda couldn't stay quiet. "Hi, Linda. I'm sorry, really. Let me forward it to your Mo." Her mother had already ended the call and was checking messages she hadn't looked at all morning. She had to scroll through many before she found the first one from Thomas. She gave the phone to Linda, watching as her daughter's face changed. Panic turned into deep sadness. The message ended with, "Have a nice life, Linda." The phone rang again. Mrs. Brown answered. It was Carol, apologizing for making things worse. For the second time in her life, Linda heard her mother use strong words. I told you to stay out of it. It was between them. Your sister hurt that good man deeply, and now you made it worse. The whole town knows, and I'm stuck choosing between your sister and Thomas, who is otherwise a good man. Don't come around here anymore." She hung up. "He left me, Mom." "It looks like he did." "And he took Patrice?" "Yes." Mrs. Brown called Dee again, asking her to bring the purse and keys to the house immediately. "After that, Linda won't need to see you again." But the keys didn't work. That crushed the last bit of hope Linda had. To make things worse, the neighbors, all knowing about the message from Thomas, came out to see what was happening. Some started to say mean things about Linda. A third person joined them. They got into their car and drove away. "Jeff, he was there. And he's Thomas's friend. He knows." She now had her phone, but the battery was very low. She had just enough power to find his number and call him from her mom's place. Jeff didn't recognize the number and answered, "Hello?" "Jeff, thank goodness. It's Linda." "Oh, hi, Linda." Jeff sounded a bit cold. "Do you know where he is?" There was silence. "Jeff, please, I'm feeling terrible. I made a mistake. I can't get into my home. I don't know where my son is. I need to say sorry to Thomas, please." "I warned you." "I know. I should have listened to you. All I can say is they're safe. Their plane just landed." "Plane? What? Jeff, where did they go?" "Look, I've already told you more than Thomas told me to. You need to come to my office tomorrow at 11 a.m., not before, because I have something to take care of first. Then we'll talk." "Jeff, did you get his text?" "Yes." "Why did he have to treat me that way?" "I don't know. He was very upset yesterday. He worked hard all week and was looking forward to something new with you. Then you did that." "Linda, being hurt by someone you trust is hard. And in front of others, on a special day. It's like you broke his faith in people. What were you thinking? You brought this on yourself. I've known Thomas since freshman year. I've only seen him this upset once. He was using language I never thought he would use." "Lynn, never mind. Why can't you tell me everything now? Please." "It wouldn't change anything, but I will respect his wishes. He is my client and my friend for life. I won't betray him." Linda, Monday. "What? He gave the house away. Who does that?" "Thomas. A hurt Thomas, to be clear. You don't know much about him, Linda. Like that ring he hammered." "He hammered your ring?" "Yes, ma'am." Linda felt ashamed. "Girl, what have you done?" "That ring was a family treasure for 7 generations. That was Jeff. He told me it was his grandma's. Not a lie, really, but also her mother's, and her mother's mother's, and so on. He never told you the ring story?" "No, could you?" Despite everything, she was curious. "It's not my story to tell. Thomas keeps things quietly, Linda. Too quietly, if you ask me. Do you know where we went to university?" She looked around the man's office, trying to find something to understand him better. Jeff laughed at her small efforts. "You won't find my diploma on these walls, Mrs. Brown-Maziere. I'm a bit like Thomas myself, quiet." She gave up. "No, he only said it was in England." "And his Ph.D.? He had a Ph.D.? She was surprised. "You've been married to him for 5 years and you didn't know he had a Ph.D.? She was silent. "You lived with him for 5 years. You told me you knew him better than I did. What do you really know about him, child?" Jeff sounded a little rude, but he wanted to make a point. The young woman seemed unaware and a bit selfish. Maybe she needed to understand better. What was Thomas thinking, marrying someone so young? He went to school in England. His parents died in an accident. He never got to say goodbye to them. His dad was from Belgium, his mom from Sweden, and he grew up in Brazil. Actually, he was born in Brazil. He studied computer science. Jeff made a short, unhappy sound right then. Then he went back to Brazil. He's smart because GameCorp hired him, and now he's here in the US because he earns more money. What's his full name? Thomas Maziere. I know that. Right, that's what's on the green card, first and last name. Our government computers don't handle other ways of naming people. Look, there are so many gaps in his story that you told me. It's like Swiss cheese full of holes. I can't believe you never tried to learn more about him. He was upset about that, you know, about how you never showed real interest in him. But he always wanted to talk about me and do things for me. And then when Patrick came, he was upset about that too. Patrick. I think your son's real name is Patrice, right? Until now, I didn't know he didn't like how I said his name. Why didn't he tell me? Thomas doesn't share his feelings much. It's how he was raised. I just told you that. But he probably gave you signs, didn't he? You just didn't notice. Linda stopped and thought. Did he? Maybe he did. But she never paid attention. The way he looked at her, often sad. When she talked about Dee or Jane and he didn't like them. Or when she called the boy Patrick and he would quietly say Patrice instead. Or when they were close and he did most of the work and she just let it happen. Then he would turn away. She got angry for his distance. She didn't think that maybe he was the one upset. Could she really have been so selfish? And his quiet nature, I think your friends thought that meant he was foolish. That was true, she thought. Dee had said he would forgive her, just like always. You probably thought he was strong because he kept to himself, but Thomas isn't strong. He's fragile, in ways you didn't see. It's not about pride or ego, like your friend said last Friday. You hurt him. Deeply. Who are you, Mr. Skinner? Tell me. It's Dr. Skinner, and I won't tell you what you didn't ask Thomas yourself in over 5 years. His story is his to tell, but I will tell you a little about me because you really hurt me last Friday. What did Thomas tell you about me? That you are good friends, that you separated from your British partner and came back to the US, and that I should get to know you because you're a good person. Jeff smiled warmly. He probably said partner, not wife, right? I separated from my husband. Lisa and her mother were surprised. But you don't seem like... I'm a gay man, Linda. Anyway, after the separation, I needed to leave. Him. My family never accepted who I am. So when I came back, I came here to be with Thomas. I got settled just in time to see you push him away. Jeff's voice grew soft. But Thomas is not. Oh no, he's as straight as can be. I only wish. Linda's mother looked uneasy. But he is the brother I never had. Back in freshman year, I lived in a poor part of town because it was all I could afford. I was tricked into a bad situation. One boy lured me, and 3 others tried to hurt me. Thomas saw it. He stood up for me, and we escaped, laughing. The police never found us. After that, I became his roommate. By then, everyone on campus knew I was gay. Do you think Thomas cared? No. He never asked me for rent either. He knew I had little money. Not having to pay rent meant the difference between a hard life and having some fun. I stayed with Thomas and his friends through college and grad school, through all the ups and downs. And yet, you said you knew him better. But you never asked, never tried to really understand. Linda wiped away tears. She was hurt by his words and moved by his story. That's my Thomas, she said quietly, always thinking of others before himself. Jeff, I'm so sorry. Sorry for what I did to him and what I told you. Know this, I will always stand by him. You hurt him, and you hurt me. Her mother spoke. I see your point, Dr. Skinner. But how could our Thomas take on 3 or 4 boys at once? That made Linda think. He can fight. I don't believe he would go alone against so many, but he had a squash racket and managed to come out on top. At the club on Friday, I was supposed to keep you there until he showed up. Oh my God, Mark would have. Ended with injuries, and Thomas would probably be in trouble. We would still be talking about this now. So maybe it was good you left when you did. Linda covered her mouth with her hands. Can he really fight? Yes, Jeff said without adding more. Anyway, let's move on. This is a separation agreement. It would be best if you signed it now, but you can take it to a lawyer if you want. There's not much to argue about since it's based on clear reasons, and your money is split as the prenup says. Linda was crying hard. Remember, separation is not the same as divorce. I'm also supposed to hire a divorce lawyer to prepare and send you the papers. Linda began to cry louder. It took her some time to calm down. Jeff, I don't want to divorce him. I want to say sorry. I made a big mistake. Can you tell him for me? Maybe you can help me see him before we meet the judge. Linda, he left the U.S. for good. He gave me permission to take care of the divorce for him. But what about the counseling sessions? The judge usually orders those. I don't think he cares about that. He will just pay any fines they give him. Linda was getting upset. But it's required, and I will get custody. Linda, he's in Brazil. So what? I still get custody. Your son is a Brazilian citizen. In Brazil, a child cannot leave the country without both parents signing a paper. Thomas told me this on Saturday, and I checked. They check every child's passport before leaving. I will get a court order. From a U.S. court? That won't work there. You're an American in Brazil, and he's the Brazilian father. You won't get anywhere. He saw the sadness in her eyes and spoke gently. I'm sorry, Linda. She was crying now. I will never see my son again. How can he be so heartless? He was supposed to be a good person. Her mother held her close. Linda, I am his lawyer and his friend. He's not heartless. He's the kindest person I know. He must be hurting more than you can imagine. What happened between you broke him. Right now, he's not himself. The Thomas I know would never say the things he said to you. That's not him. You really upset him. Jeff smiled a little. Why are you smiling? At my choice of words. Never mind. Sorry. Do you want your son back? Or do you want Thomas back? Both. I need them both. That night with that man proved it. I hate myself so much. I need Thomas. She cried again. Oh God, please. Her mother let her cry. Jeff thought this was one of the saddest moments he had ever seen, right up there with his own hard times. He took a deep breath and reached out his hand. The lawyer Jeff just stepped away. The Jeff here now sees a wife and mother who is truly sad and sorry. This Jeff is Thomas's friend and knows he's unhappy too. This Jeff says, get a kind lawyer, not a tough one. Maybe someone from your church. Look over the papers carefully, sign them, and don't do anything sudden. Separation isn't the same as divorce. Don't make things worse. Try to get your friends to stop acting against him. What friends? She asked. Thomas's friends got into a fight last Friday night and some ended up hurt. It was bad. At first, they didn't tell the police who hurt them, but last night they finally decided to press charges. Try to convince them to drop it, for the sake of your marriage, as a kindness. Mrs. Brown? Maybe you could help, the man suggested. The woman agreed quickly. To her, those useless men got what was coming to them. Give him time. Maybe he will calm down on his own. The house and cars are gone, I'm sorry. But you still have your job, and I think your parents can help you, right? Yes, she said. You can come by this week to collect your things from the house, but not the furniture. Just call this woman first. He handed her a card. Linda, it might take months. I am his lawyer, so I have to do what he says, but I can also be tough when I need to be. Please be patient. She started crying again. I miss my son. I can't imagine how hard that is. I am so sorry. Try to stay strong. Things can't be rushed. Oh, and Linda, if I hear anything strange, I'll bring your divorce papers myself. Jeff and Thomas Tuesday, texting Jeff. Thomas, I had Linda and your mother in my office. For what it's worth, I think she's truly sorry. Thomas. And? Jeff. I just thought you should know. Thomas. What I need to know is, did you send the separation papers? Jeff. Yes. Waiting. 3 months later, Jeff. Thomas, can you talk? Thomas. Sorry, text only. Noisy place here. Jeff. It's about Linda. She tried to harm herself. Pause. Jeff's phone rang. How? Thomas. Jeff. How? Good to see you still care. Of course I care, Jeff. She's my son's mother. How did this happen? And I hear the noise behind you. A couple of birds and some wind. Loud enough to hurt your ears? Are you at your beach house? Yes, I feel terrible and didn't want to talk. Happy? Now please. What did she do? Her mother caught her taking a bunch of pills. She made her spit most out and then helped her throw up. But she still took enough to sleep for a day and a half. Why does she need those pills? To calm her nerves and help her sleep, Thomas. I guess you don't know? Why would I know? She left me and I stopped paying attention. Thomas, stop it. She's not a bad person, you know that. She made some mistakes and had trouble dealing with things. You never gave her a chance to say sorry. You made her look bad in town, cut her off from her son, and she's suffering. She lost her job and misses you and Patrice. She barely goes outside. Why did she lose her job? Dr. Alburn is the local leader of a religious group. Oh no. Yes, exactly. Doesn't that religion teach kindness? Like the kindness you showed her? Thomas grumbled. Forget it, Jeff. Why are you bothering me so much today? Because you said you wouldn't act like that kind of guy. But it's been 3 months. She's not working and still living in her old bedroom. You won't divorce her to set her free, but you won't go back to her either, and she can't see her son. She doesn't meet friends or have money. She's cut herself off from everyone. Finally, it took her marriage for her to see they weren't good for anything. As for money, she can divorce me. I won't deny support, then she won't be on welfare. She will never divorce you, Thomas. She wants you back. Thomas, I think she has had enough. I'm still hurting, Jeff, so who are you to judge? He shouted. Oh, but Sir Blue Blood is suffering at his beach house, surfing in the morning, relaxing in the afternoon with his kid, enjoying the sunset and sipping drinks at night, with staff to clean and cook for him, in the place where it's always warm. Meanwhile, Linda is on unemployment and can't pay her student loans. Thomas, be reasonable. I know your family, I know you, and you are better than this. It's sunrise, not sunset, you idiot. It's the Atlantic, and don't drag my family into this. He ended the call. He sighed and called back. Sorry, you're right. Thomas, I've seen her. She's in bad shape. For what it's worth, I think she's truly sorry. She misses you. I don't think she's like Ka. Thomas stopped him. Is she sorry for what she did or sorry for the results? Can you really separate those? Outside of a serious ethics class? No, I guess not. She wants me to send you an email from her. I said I'd ask you first. Thomas thought for a few seconds. It would be too painful. No. Thomas, for what it's worth, she called Mark an idiot or something like that. But back to my point, please be kind to her. He sighed. All right, what can we do? Are you willing to come back? When that happens, maybe hell will freeze over. Besides, I can't even step foot in the U.S. until the IRS says so. Well, then I have some ideas. The next day, Patrice got an iPhone, complete with an iCloud account and FaceTime. He was very happy. The only rule his dad made was that the phone stayed in his bedroom. Thomas didn't want Linda to see the house or where they lived. He also turned off the phone tracker for the same reason. Jeff told Linda that he got the boy's phone number from the housemaid, along with Thomas's daily schedule. She could FaceTime Patrice when Thomas was out, keeping in mind the time difference. She had to be careful. Thomas was still angry with her. He didn't want to hear anything about her and would be very upset if he found out she was talking to Patrice. Linda wondered why a little boy of 4 needed an iPhone. Jeff told her they were working on a video game together. Linda was very grateful to Jeff and felt less nervous when she called her son for the first time. She always made sure to call him by his name, Patrice. Linda 10 days later. Since losing her job, Linda had been looking for work without stopping, but she hadn't had much luck. Her old boss wouldn't give her a letter of recommendation. Also, bad things were said about her before she even met new employers. Her old boss was known for chasing after the women who worked at the clinic, but Linda never gave in. Now he was making sure that all new employers knew about her past. Linda tried anything she could, even working night shifts at the hospital emergency room. She thought, what did she have to lose? At the same time, her parents were getting angrier with Thomas. They thought his punishment for Linda was too hard for someone who clearly regretted what she had done. Linda was angry, too. She was mad at herself for making mistakes. She was mad at her old friends for not being real friends. She was mad at Thomas for not giving her a chance, for hurting her so much. and for not letting her be with her son. Thomas had always spent more time with Patrice, but what could she do? She worked outside the house, and being a nurse was hard. That was their agreement. She had given him a child before she was ready to be a mother, and he had taken care of the child. She felt sorry for everything. Thomas had every right to leave her, but he didn't need to hurt her so much. And she was mad at that man, Marc Lavaliere. He was not a real gentleman or a good person. Linda was no princess, but she didn't deserve to be treated so badly. Thomas had called her names and made her feel worthless. Marc hadn't faced any problems after everything happened. Thomas had emailed the story to the local news and shared it on social media. But Marc got only positive comments from his fans and teammates. Linda, on the other hand, had to put up with much worse. People said hard things about her. Let me have her when you're done. Does she care at all? Her husband left her, so let's take her on our next tour. Give us her phone number. Luckily, that last one didn't matter. Marc didn't have her number, and she had already changed it. Even so, Linda missed Thomas. She kept thinking about the times they were together. She noticed moments when she could have been closer to him or replied better to his kindness. She dreamed about doing nice things for him if he ever gave her another chance, like bringing him breakfast in bed or gently running her hand through his hair. He touched his chest gently, held her hand, even in front of others. He liked it, but she never let him. Sometimes she hugged him suddenly just because. She really did love him. That was not something made up in her mind. She loved him. But she had not been as committed to him as he had been to her. Their marriage had never been equal, even before she made a mistake. She wished she could tell him that, say it out loud, but she had no way to reach him. He would not answer her messages. All of this made her feel very sad, more like hopeless, and she even tried to hurt herself, but her mother found her in time. Her mother then thought to tell Dr. Jeff Skinner, hoping he could pass a message to Thomas. But none of this helped Linda find a job, so she didn't have high hopes when she got a call for an interview at a hospital far across the city. It was for a daytime job in the ward for patients who could not wake up. Daytime nurse jobs were the best, and she couldn't even get a night shift at the emergency room. Who would hire her for that? Still, she went. They told her they had money from a donation she had never heard of to hire new staff and buy new equipment. After 2 interviews that day, they hired her. In just over a week, her luck had changed. She was talking happily with her son, and she had a job where nobody knew her. She didn't have a car for the long way there, but Jeff gave her some money for a cheap used one. Thank you, Jeff. She texted him on her first day. Don't make me regret it, I won't. Jeff, I miss him. Makes 2 of us. It's not the same thing. I know. A week later, Jeff met Mr. and Mrs. Brown near his office. They were going to a medical appointment, and he had just come out of a Starbucks. He asked them how things were with Linda and got the quick story. They were thankful for his help to let their grandson talk to Thomas by video, even though Thomas was hard to reach. Linda had found a job, too. They thanked Jeff for the car money, but the whole family was very unhappy with how Thomas was acting and not being around. Jeff thought about what they said and invited them to his office after their appointment, if they could come. He wanted to find a way to change how they saw his friend without going against what Thomas wanted. Thomas was his client, and this whole thing might still lead to legal trouble. But it had been months. The divorce papers were ready, and Thomas ignored all messages. Jeff decided to take a chance, and he knew just how to do it. Linda's parents came in. Jeff offered them coffee. He had the same coffee machine as Thomas, and they noticed. They liked that coffee. He put a single 1-page paper in front of them. There are some things I want to tell you about your son-in-law. He has been my friend since we both went to Oxford more than 12 years ago. Oxford? Yes, Oxford, but that's all I will tell you unless you sign this. Linda is, against all odds, becoming a friend. You are too. Thomas always thought you two were some of the most honest, hard-working, and kind people he ever met. And I trust Thomas completely, always. I see you are having a hard time. Linda too, I can help. But you need to understand that Thomas is first and foremost my client, and I cannot break that promise. That's why this paper is here. It's a non-disclosure agreement with serious consequences if broken. If you sign it, you promise not to tell anyone, not your daughter, not her lawyers, nobody what I'm about to say today. Maybe then we can work together and give them a chance again." They signed, and then they talked. Linda, end of September 2025. She got out of the taxi and paid with her credit card. She quickly thought about the price. $1, 500 was about $300 for a 3-hour trip, nearly 290 kilometers from the airport. That's about $1 per kilometer. Funny, the driver didn't ask for a tip. Not bad, but it was money she really didn't have to spend. Using Google Translate, she asked the driver to stop about 50 feet before the house gate. The driver helped with her bag, thanked her for the cash tip in US dollars that she gave anyway, and wished her good luck in broken English. She began pulling her large bag toward the house, but paused to feel the hot sun on her pale skin. She looked around and saw the lush tropical plants, the dark green-blue ocean nearby, and a beautiful house to her right. The house was a perfect mix of modern tropical wood design, and what she later learned was Portuguese colonial style, very common in that area. The yard was full of green grass and shaded spots. She could see a living room with a big glass wall that opened completely onto a covered porch. It was one smooth space with lots of glass, not many walls hiding the inside. She was still a little far away to see many details. 2 cars were parked on the short driveway. One was an old Land Rover, boxy, like the ones seen in British movies, with the steering wheel on the wrong side for both Brazil and the US. That felt strange. It was a British car, made in Britain, sitting in Brazil. The other car was a small Chevy, similar to others she'd seen on the road from the airport to the beach. It had the large logo of a health company on its side door. No one had told Thomas she was coming. She almost gave up the idea many times. While in the taxi, she thought about turning back to the airport, but she was here now. She missed her 2 boys. Still, she hesitated. She suddenly felt sick to her stomach and almost fainted. Who would have thought that flying would be the easiest part? She took a deep breath and walked around the cars to the main door. Here goes nothing. As she walked in, she passed a beautiful young woman with dark hair coming out. The woman wore clothes like someone who works in healthcare. They looked each other up and down and knew at once they were rivals. Linda closed the door behind her and saw Thomas sitting in an old black leather chair with his back to her. Later, she would learn the chair was very special and very old, a real treasure imported by his father years ago. The living room was impressive. One side opened to a veranda and the ocean. The other side had a huge wall full of books. The kitchen was at the far end. The room had very high ceilings and a cool breeze. It was much cooler inside than outside, even without air conditioning. She noticed all this later. For now, she was too upset to pay attention. "Thomas, who was that woman I just saw leaving?" she asked, unable to hide her irritation. Without turning or sounding surprised, he said, "Linda, I can tell your jealousy still needs some work. First, she's not Latino or Hispanic, not white, not native, and definitely not green. Larissa is just a woman. We don't label people here. Second, if anyone is the outsider, it's you. Third, and this isn't really your business, she's my physiotherapist. She visits me at home. Now that you're here, can you help me up?" Linda felt ashamed. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." He softened a little. "I know. I still know you. Please help me." She walked around the chair and looked him over. He was tanned and had much longer hair than she remembered. His beard was a few days old. He looked younger, thinner, and more muscular. He wore a white t-shirt, nice surfer shorts, and leather sandals. No glasses. An expensive-looking watch. This was a Thomas she had never seen before. He seemed to try to act like a relaxed, wealthy beach guy, but his eyes told a different story. Quiet anger and sadness. His arm was raised, and he kept it there the whole time. "Whenever you're done checking me out," he said lightly. "Sorry." She helped him up. She noticed a cane nearby and reached for it. "No," he said. "She told me to stop using it. It's time to put weight on my leg again." He made a face. "And to answer the question you're dying to ask, yes, she's very nice, yes, she flirts with me, and yes, she'll be disappointed. I'm done with women. It just hurts too much." He was still upset. Slowly, he limped toward the kitchen. She followed. "Screw it. Pass me the cane. I'll quit using it tomorrow." She did. "What happened to you?" "Do you see that path on the other side of the house? It goes down to the beach. 3 months ago it was raining. I was coming up with my surfboard, feeling tired. I slipped. The board hit my leg. If it had hit a little more to the left, I might not have made it. He showed her the scar. I'm counting the days until I can surf again. I'm sorry. Not your fault. Where is Patrice? Thomas noticed she said their son's name correctly. She still needed to work on the accent. It sounded like Patrice, not Patrice, but it was a start. Kindergarten. He'll be back at 3:30. Where are your glasses? Laser surgery. But it didn't fix everything. I still can't see very far, but I don't need them inside the house. I can still surf and bike. Good. You always wanted that. She watched as he made 2 large coffees and carefully cut a big fruit in half. He took out many black seeds, sprinkled granola and honey on it, and put each half on a plate with a spoon. I only have one good hand. Can you bring the rest? He took his mug and limped to the dining table on the veranda. She sat down and slowly tasted the fruit. She had never eaten anything so good. She realized she was very hungry and ate it quickly. What is it? Papaya. Never had it? I missed your coffee. Same machine. I brought it in my luggage. How did you get here so early? The flight from Newark doesn't arrive before 9 a.m. It's only 9:15. I flew from Miami. My dad drove me there. Oh, right. That flight comes in earlier, and it looks like you've beaten your fear of flying. That's why we drove to Miami. If I panicked on the plane, at least I'd be close. I had to come. Did you panic? No. I focused on why I was doing it. How did you find us? It wasn't easy. Jeff. Yes. You could have told me you were coming. I would have picked you up. I would have paid for your ticket. The taxi is expensive. I'm sure you didn't have much money. Would he really have paid for her ticket? He said it, but he wasn't sure. I was afraid you'd run away again if you knew. Linda, look around. I'm exactly where I want to be, where I always wanted to be. I am not going anywhere. But I had no way to know that, or to contact you. You could have asked Jeff, and you talk to Patrice every day. Do you know that? Of course, who do you think made it possible? What? Jeff told me. Because I was still mad at you, but I couldn't stop you from talking to him. I was being unfair. Sorry. And yes, we are designing a game together. Was mad? That means you aren't anymore? I don't know what I am. Mad sometimes. There are moments when I think of you and feel like breaking something, but most of the time I'm just like you see me now. Linda, I'm upset with you. Sorry, but I am. When I think I could have been here 5 years earlier if we hadn't married. 5 years you kept me away from here, for what? Nothing. Don't say nothing, Thomas, please. It wasn't nothing. What was it then? Thomas, I love you. And we have Patrice. Please. You love Patrice. Patrice is not nothing. There was a quiet pause. You look good, Thomas. Only on the outside. Yes, I can see that. She reached out to touch his hand, but he pulled away. She said sorry. You don't look good, Linda. No offense. I know. They were silent for a moment. Is that my mom's ring on your finger? Yes. I went back and got it from your driveway. But it's bent and scratched. The ruby is gone. Can I see it? He tried to take her hand, but she pulled it back and covered it with her other hand. No, it's mine now. You threw it away. Finders keepers. Sorry, I'm not going to. Please? Thomas, promise to give it back. Please, I need this. She gave it to him slowly. He looked at it. She had used small tools to straighten it a bit to fit her finger, and glue to put back some bits of the ruby she had found. But there were sharp gold wires sticking out. It's dangerous. You could get an infection from this. I won't. Give it back. I can fix it for you. No! She got up quickly and held his hand. He was surprised. This is mine. I like it this way. It reminds me of the biggest mistake of my life, the night I lost everything I loved. You don't have the right. She began to cry, and he said sorry and gave her a napkin. She felt embarrassed for getting upset. He stood and slowly went to get her a glass of water, giving her space. By the time he came back, she had wiped her tears. Both looked down at the ocean, feeling shy. Thomas, how do you pay for rent? No rent. Mortgage, then? No mortgage. Who owns this place, then? Are you a caretaker or something? Thomas laughed quietly. This is Patrice's. I bought the land and built the house in his name to avoid taxes. Remember when I traveled to Brazil the year he was born? The first year of COVID? It was hard to travel with all the testing before flights. When Dee said I was seeing someone else here? She felt the anger in his voice. I was building this. I used to come here with my school friends to surf. The owners used to run this land as a camping spot. It goes from the fence behind the house all the way down to the water, 50,000 square meters. That's about 10 or 12 acres. It has direct access to the public beach. I don't have to drive back to the road to get to it. The owner passed away and I bought it from her. I built the house as a surprise for you. I wanted to convince you to move here, but you became afraid of flying, so I waited. Anyway, I put everything in Patrice's name from the start. The older pieces of furniture belonged to my parents when they moved here from Belgium and Sweden. The rest. A friend of mine who studied architecture helped me. Linda looked up. A friend who is a girl. So this place is Patrice's, and the money, you got it from your parents. Some from them, and some I earned before. Why didn't I know about this? You never asked. Tears began to fall. Thomas, I made a mistake. Not just that night, but before, too. In many ways. I was selfish. I agree. He handed her another napkin. Thomas, I'm sorry. Good. Being sorry is important. It helps us learn. For over 2 minutes, the only sound was the soft breeze moving through the open living room and veranda. Then he slowly got up. Linda, listen, I'm glad you are here, and Patrice will be very happy. The thing is, I have trouble sleeping at night, you can guess why. Then in the morning, no matter how much coffee I drink, I feel useless. I'm going to bed. You probably flew in economy. You must be tired. You can use the guest room. It's the first door on the left. Towels and sheets are in the closet. Have a shower, take a short rest, go to the beach, eat some food, relax in the hammock. Do whatever you want. The Wi-Fi password is on the fridge. At 1 p.m., we will go to town. I'll do my swimming at the gym, then we'll pick up Patrice. Welcome to Brazil. I'm happy you finally get to see this place, even if things aren't ideal. With that, he left and locked himself in the master bedroom. What he said wasn't an excuse. He really had trouble sleeping, but he was barely holding himself together and didn't want her to see him upset. 3 hours and some sleep later. Thomas, Jeff, I want to fire my lawyer. Jeff, why? Thomas, who gives their client's address to the other side? Jeff, well, don't tell me you're not happy to see her. Thomas, did you pay for her flight too? Jeff, no, she paid for it herself. She saved money. Maybe borrowed a bit. I think she still owes on her student loans. Thomas, please be kind to her. Thomas, I'm not going back, Jeff. Jeff, no one is asking you to. Just try giving her a chance. Give yourself a chance. She isn't the woman you thought she was. Thomas, I didn't leave. She left me. Jeff, same difference. Thomas got out of bed, moved slowly to the kitchen, ate a banana fast, looked at a nervous Linda now dressed in shorts and a t-shirt, and began to slowly walk to the car. Did you do anything? Showered and slept. You were right. Flying overnight is the worst. That's why not many people come to South America for vacation. It's far away. But once you get here, grab a fruit before we go. I'll wait in the car. Linda caught up easily. Thomas walked slowly. She tried to help him into the Land Rover, but he gave up. His left leg hurt, and the car was British. Linda, you will be my driver while you are here. It's easier for me to get into the passenger seat. He saw the worry on her face. She noticed the narrow streets and the wild drivers. She had never driven a British car or on roads like these before. Don't worry, you'll get used to it soon. What kind of car is this? A 1980 Land Rover Defender. My dad bought it from a friend who worked at the UK consulate here. I sold it to a friend, then bought it back. She looked behind and saw a booster seat for Patrice. Thomas, this car is old. You know I don't care about fancy cars, but I like this one. I plan to fix it up, but I haven't had the time yet. Thomas, I see this is fun to drive, and I don't want to argue with you, but what if something happens while Patrice is in the car? I've seen how people drive here. You must have money you never told me about. Can't you get a safer car? Something with airbags? Do they sell cars like the RAV4 here? Thomas just grunted. 2 weeks later, a 4-wheel drive Subaru with 9 airbags showed up in the driveway. Linda kept wondering where all the money came from. A fancy house, an old car, and now a new car. Thomas was not working. She knew he didn't get a commission from Game Corp. The deal didn't happen after he left. But when she asked, Thomas made it clear he didn't want to talk about money. They drove quietly along the coast to the downtown area. Then Thomas took her to the gym. "I'll swim for an hour, then we'll pick up the little boy. You must be eager to see him." She just nodded. Why swimming? She had never seen him swim before, but remembered he said he missed it. Their gym back home had no pool. "Since the accident, I can't surf, jog, walk, or bike. Swimming is the only thing left. Honestly, I'm already tired of it. I want to try something new, but Larissa says it will be months before I can jog again." "Do you want to explore the village or just watch?" The mention of that woman made Linda wince. "I'll sit and watch." The village looked charming, but she wanted to stay close to the man she thought she knew so well and missed so much, especially since she now knew she had a rival. There was a viewing area with benches. She sat and waited. She couldn't help but stare when he came out of the locker room. Thomas was about to jump in the pool. His blonde hair was sun-bleached in a way that reminded her of Sweden and Belgium, standing out against his sun-tanned Brazilian skin. Now without a shirt, his strong and fit body showed. That was new. The Thomas she dated was never out of shape, but he didn't have a body this toned. She felt a sudden rush inside. She wanted him now more than ever. How could she have given up someone like this for someone else? Thomas was much more handsome and confident now. Could she win him back? She wasn't sure what to expect. She had never seen him swim before. Maybe he would be awkward if swimming was his new way to exercise. But he jumped into the pool smoothly and began swimming freestyle fast, not taking a breath for the whole first lap. Then he flipped over like an expert and took one breath halfway through the second lap. Another flip followed. Now he was breathing every 6 strokes. He kept going and going. Perfect form, always steady. For a whole hour, non-stop, his arms moved like wings. After an hour, he got out of the pool, took a quick shower, and met her by the benches. Linda didn't know what to say. "Where did you learn to swim?" she asked. "At St. Paul's. I was on their swim team," he said. "What's that?" "It's the same British school Patrice will go to." Linda frowned, noticing how sure he sounded. "Wait for him here. That's where the kids come out. I'll tell the principal who you are and that he won't take the bus today. I'll stay nearby. Let him have a surprise." Thomas watched from a little distance as Linda hugged and kissed her son in the schoolyard. He was crying quietly too, as were some teachers and other parents who knew their story. On the way home, the car was full of questions back and forth between mother and son, both needing to get to know each other again. Thomas had to drive, but both wanted to sit in the back seat. Linda played with Patrice for the rest of the day and evening, kindly leaving Thomas alone with his thoughts. He heard his son helping Linda say their names in French and Portuguese, pointing out sounds she didn't get right. Thomas thought about joining them to joke that she deserved a B- for effort, but decided not to interrupt. Linda also took care of Patrice's bedtime routine, bathing him, making his lunch, and laying out his school clothes. Thomas thought she could do that every night while she was in town. Meanwhile, he sat in his favorite chair, listening to the loud cicadas outside, reading a book about the Habsburgs, and drinking some wine. "May I?" she asked. "Pull up a chair and get a glass. Or the other way around," he said. There was silence for a moment. "Your house is truly beautiful. The more I see it, the more I like it. Everything fits just right here. It feels like it was made to be part of the nature outside." "It could have been yours," he said softly. "I miss you." She touched his shoulder gently. He didn't pull away right away. He looked at her. "You used to seem so innocent, a little lost, really." "Lost?" She pulled her hand back. "I don't mean it badly. I like that about you. That was part of who you were. Even if I sometimes had to help bring you back to reality from your daydreams. You were a girl then. Now I see a thoughtful woman. You look older. It hasn't been easy." His face showed anger, but then he softened. "No, please. I'm not blaming you, Thomas. It was all my fault." They were quiet for a moment. He pointed at the night sky. "Tomorrow is a full moon. I will get someone to watch Patrice, and I'll take you out to eat somewhere with a view of the bay." Her heart beat faster, and he saw it. "It's not a date, Linda. You traveled all this way, and it's not the country's fault that we don't agree. You have to see the beauty. We'll go to the beach, too. You should get a little sun. If you get any paler, you'll be shining like a mirror. Help me up, please." He went to bed. The next day, Linda treated herself to papayas and mangoes for breakfast. The fruits in that country were amazing. "Where do you get these fruits from?" she asked. "Did you see the fruit seller at the compound entrance? A truck with a small tent? I talked to them a few months back, and now they bring me a box of their best fruit twice a week." "But they must charge you a lot." "Maybe, but I haven't eaten bad fruit since I started buying from them. They work hard, but don't eat too much fruit. You need protein, too." Linda enjoyed the beach. She had been to Florida with Thomas, but the warm, wavy, windy beaches of southern Brazil were different. For a few hours, she felt like a child again and forgot her worries. Her happiness almost made Thomas smile, but he only took photos of her and let her take selfies with him. He didn't smile, though. "You can't share those pictures with anyone." "Can I send them to my parents?" "Your parents are okay." They planned to come back over the weekend with Patrice to take a boat trip to the islands. Thomas often glanced at Linda quietly. She had lost weight. She was not heavy before. During pregnancy, she had gained some extra pounds that never left her. It never mattered to him. Now, those pounds were gone, and more. She had a great shape, one that had come with many challenges. For her, for him, and for their son. That afternoon, Linda drove alone to pick up her child and cared for him until dinner. Thomas didn't complain. She was nervous when they went out to eat, but Thomas reminded her again it was not a date, and the place was simple. He wore his usual outfit, shorts, a t-shirt, and sandals. The view was amazing. They were on top of a mountain looking over the bay and beach, all shining silver under the full moon. It felt magical. Thomas ordered a cold beer and fried shrimp with cheese and pineapple. Linda chose something simple she thought would taste like home food, even though Thomas warned her. When the food arrived, she was disappointed and looked at his plate. "Here, let's switch plates." "No, you don't have to." "Linda, switch. I can eat this any time." She felt a little embarrassed. "Thanks. Why didn't you bring me here sooner?" He looked upset. She said sorry. "I know I was hard to get along with. If only I could change the past." They ate mostly in silence. Back at the house, she helped him out of the car and gave him a light kiss on the cheek. "Thank you." Thomas saw that she slept in Patrice's bed, holding her son close. Good for her. Days went by, and Thomas didn't ask when Linda would leave. Maybe he didn't care or just pretended not to. They didn't do typical family things like going to the beach or trips together. They did go to Rio for the weekend but stayed in different rooms. Another time they took a day trip to a town nearby called Parati. Then Thomas had to go to Sao Paulo for work. He asked Linda if she could watch Patrice for a day and 2 nights. He hired a driver and told her she could use the car. While he was gone, Linda walked around the house. The back wall of the living room had a huge library, books from floor to ceiling, with a wooden ladder running along a rail. She knew Thomas liked to read a lot, about almost everything. She started looking through the books. Many were about game coding. There were also modern novels and many books in languages he spoke, Portuguese, French, and Flemish. She found a section about European nobility. Who even reads that? There were old yearbooks about kings and dukes and barons. Then she found an Oxford yearbook. Oxford! She opened it and looked inside. Jeff Skinner and Thomas de Maizière were listed there. She noticed the D in his name, a part she didn't know existed. Trinity College. He went to Oxford. Wow, that was impressive. She wanted to know more. She thought of looking him up on LinkedIn, but found he didn't have an account. Jeff was right. Thomas kept a low profile. She Googled Thomas de Maizière Oxford and found the school's alumni website. Why hadn't she thought of that before? Thomas had earned a bachelor's, a master's, and a PhD at Oxford in quantum computing. That sounded very difficult. She read about it for a while. She had thought he only studied computer science. Using Google and ChatGPT, she looked for more information about him. In about half an hour, she learned most of it. Jeff and Thomas were close friends at Oxford. After finishing their first studies, Jeff studied law, while Thomas studied physics and computing. Thomas liked games. He created Fortress Crush during the last years of his PhD. After he graduated, he launched the game. It became very popular. He moved back to Brazil quickly, though she didn't know why yet. 2 years later, he sold the game to Game Corp for $80 million. Thomas was very rich. No wonder his lawyers had him sign a prenuptial agreement. He became an employee of Game Corp and was asked to find other games they could buy. He moved to the United States to do this. He used to tell her he wouldn't stay in the U.S. for long. He just wanted to understand how things worked in the country, what everyone talked about when they said the American ways, and how business was done. Now she saw why. He wasn't the usual immigrant who came to the U.S. to build a new life. Thomas's life had already been built long ago. She sent her thoughts to Jeff. His reply was, "You're halfway there. Why did he come back from Europe after his PhD? Don't ask him that unless you're really close, and maybe not even then." Thanks. She closed her laptop and turned to the bookshelf. Old photo albums caught her eye. Pictures of Thomas with his parents. At the beach, a forest, a farm, and a big city she guessed was Sao Paulo. They stood in front of huge waterfalls, even bigger than Niagara. She remembered seeing pictures of Niagara at the airport. Some photos looked like they were taken in Europe. Others were among trees planted in rows near a sawmill. Strange. Another album showed Thomas older, maybe 10 years old. They were dressed up his father in a tuxedo, his mother looking very elegant with shiny jewelry. This had to be Europe for sure. They were in the gardens of a palace, then inside it. There were more people, older ones she didn't know. She flipped through many pages, full of well-dressed people. Finally, there was a photo of them with someone she couldn't mistake the Queen of England. Linda felt dizzy. She didn't put the album away. She would ask Thomas about it for sure. How could this be real? She knew his family was rich, but going to palace parties and meeting the Queen herself. She kept looking. Another album showed teenage Thomas, again in Europe during summer. Lots of blonde teenagers, maybe Sweden. There were some pretty girls, one holding Thomas's hand. He kissed one girl and laughed. At a Nordic beach, the girl was in swimwear. Linda's mood dropped. She felt jealous and angry. She took a deep breath. This was the past, a long time ago. She had relationships before Thomas, too. And besides, she had no right to feel this way, not after her own mistakes. As she tried to close the album, an envelope fell out. On the front, Thomas's handwriting said, "Never take life for granted." Inside were some photos. A car accident, clearly in Brazil. Thomas's parents had died in it. She recognized that it wasn't the Land Rover, but another older car. The images were hard to see. She had been a nurse and seen worse before, but this still shocked her. Why did Thomas keep these pictures? 2 more photos were inside. One was the same girl from before, and the other was Linda herself. She saw why the photos were connected. She carefully put everything away. May his parents rest in peace. There would be much to talk about when Thomas came back. When Thomas returned from his business trip, Linda decided to ask. "Is it too late to ask about your past?" she said. Thomas looked tired and a bit annoyed. "Why?" he asked. "Just please. I want to know what I missed all these years." He looked closely at her face. "What did you look at? Your photos and your yearbook?" She smiled a little. He seemed upset. She made her face soft and sorry. "Please don't be mad. You let me into your world, so I got curious." "I did not let you. You just showed up here the other day without telling me. Please, Thomas, this is all so different." She moved her hand around. "I saw a side of you I never knew, and all that I lost. Please, Because you didn't care. Guilty, but now I do. I really care." "Why? We're not together." That must have hurt her, but she stayed strong. "Don't you think I have the right to know about my son's past? There's a lot of history. The other day you could have been hurt badly." She touched his leg. "You drive an old, unsafe car. If something happened to you, your son wouldn't know who you were." He took a deep breath. "That's low, Linda, but you have a point. If you bring me a beer and some peanuts, I am very tired. I'll get out of this suit and sit down. But I have to pick up Patrice. You started this. We will do it now. He has been coming home by bus just fine until you got here." "Okay. What do you want to know?" Who are all these people? She showed him some photos. That's the King and Queen of Sweden, my mother's family. She was a first cousin of his. Really? He just nodded. And these? A bunch of cousins and aunts and uncles on my father's side. Oh, I have to ask. I need your permission in writing to take Patrice to visit family in Europe. I can't take him outside Brazil without your signature. That made her angry. What? You won't let me take him to the US, but you want me to let you take him to Europe? It's for his good, Linda, and you can go too. I don't have money and I have to work. Money is not a problem. What do you mean, Thomas? I mean, money is not a problem. Thomas, please don't joke like this. You know, she frowned, feeling pain. You're right. He paused. But please sign it. I promise we will find a way for you to come too. You get to spend time with Patrice, and I think we showed we can get along. Won't you think about coming back to the US? Look around, Linda. We have the ocean, good weather, food, private schools. Why would we? I know. She felt sad but tried to ignore it. What about this photo? She showed him a picture with the Queen. I'm sure you know who she is, right? Thomas. All right. Same event in Stockholm. The Queen did not like going to other kings and queens very often, I was told. And this one? That's our family estate, Chateau d'Outremont. I haven't been there in 10 years. That's where I want to go with Patrice. You have a chateau? Well, it belongs to the foundation. L'Outremont Stichting. What did you say? L'Outremont Stichting. He said it with a mix of French and Flemish. Spell it. He did. It was you. Suddenly, she was angry at him. You gave them the money for my job. I saw that name on the list of donors at the hospital, and I thought, how strange. Then my boss told me that was the foundation that gave the grant for my job. No wonder they let me have a vacation so soon. You tricked me, she shouted, furious. Look, I made a mistake. I will regret it for the rest of my life. I had the hardest time. I hurt my family, us, my parents, everything. You ran away here and I didn't blame you, but you don't have the right to control everything. I'm trying my best to have us as a family again, but I have nothing, and you have everything. You are just a cruel rich man. Forget you, Thomas. She ran to her room and slammed the door. He sighed. She was right. In a way, he did trick her. Maybe not on purpose, but out of anger and uncertainty. He wasn't a cruel rich man, or at least he didn't think so, but that's how she saw him. Enough. She was sorry. She wanted him. He wanted her back. He had decided to forgive her the moment she walked in. Still, they hurt each other. Actually, he was the one hurting. She was trying to make peace. He was pushing her away. Fool. He stood up and went to her. He knocked and opened the door but didn't go in. She lay in bed, turned away, crying. Yes, it was me. I did it because I felt bad for you. What I did was too sudden. I live a good but empty life, while you were alone without work. I had to help you, but I was too proud to give in. I still wanted you to feel some pain but didn't want it to be too much. It was stupid. I'm not a cruel rich man. I was just angry, and I'm sorry. She said nothing. I mean it, Linda. Can we try again, please? Go away, Tom. They heard a noise. Patrice is here. I'll keep him busy so you can rest. We can talk later, okay? But Patrice was already at his mother's door. What's wrong with Mom? She's not feeling well. It hurts her. That's why she's crying. Let's give her a kiss and a hug, then come out and play video games, okay? She needs to rest. Thomas kissed her and held her hair for a moment before leaving the room. She didn't move. Patrice hugged his mother, but after a while grew restless. His dad took him to the beach. He left a note for Linda just in case she came out of her room. They were caught in a thunderstorm on their way back, probably the first rain of the season. It was so strong that even Linda came out of her shelter to watch. It's quite a show, isn't it? She said. Are we safe here? She asked. Yes. The house is built on solid rock and the roof is made of strong concrete. It may not look like it, but this house is very sturdy. Then I'm going to bed. She still felt upset. That night, Thomas tucked Patrice in, changed into his long pajamas, and took a large blanket from the closet because he knew it would get cold. He knocked on Linda's door and asked if he could join her in bed. She only made a small sound, but he took it as a yes, and they lay close together. I love you, Linda, he whispered. And I deserved what you said to me earlier, she replied quietly. Holding Linda, Thomas slept peacefully through the night and half of the next morning, for the first time in many months. The next morning, at 9 a.m., Thomas woke up to find his wife washing dishes by the kitchen counter, her back to him. He hugged her from behind and kissed her neck. She stopped moving for a moment, then relaxed in his arms. He wished the moment could last forever. "Did you send the little one off to preschool?" he asked. She just nodded. "Thanks. I didn't hear the alarm. I haven't slept this well since—" She took a breath and held back tears. He gently turned her to face him and kissed her softly on the lips. "I'm sorry, Linda. I can explain. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I was just angry and ashamed, and it's not that. I'm leaving tomorrow, Thomas. I thought I would come here to bring you both home. How silly I was. But look at all this. I can never be good enough. Stay." Her eyes brightened. "May I?" "I think you should. Are you still joking with me?" "You don't get to joke with me anymore, Thomas. Please." He looked into her eyes and held her hands. "No, I mean it. I want to try again. Please stay." "What if it doesn't work?" "Then it doesn't, but we owe it to ourselves, don't we?" "But then I'd lose my job, my life, and be away from my son. I won't let that happen. Just don't hurt me again." "Never." She smiled the same innocent smile she had years ago. He loved it. "Thomas, sit down. I'll bring you breakfast." "Thomas, if your mother is related to the king, does that mean you are?" "What?" "What do you mean? Was she a princess, or—" He took a sip of coffee, sighed, and said, "You want to know if we have a title? Not on my mother's side. But from my father's side, yes. Linda, have you ever seen our son's Brazilian and Belgian passports?" "No. Thomas, I'm so sorry. Not because I didn't try. I registered him with both countries. Here in the U.S., his name is Patrice Brown Mazier. But in some places, he is called Patrice Lundgren de Mazier-Anat. He will be the Count of Outremont-Not, the 11th in the family and the 5th with that name. Do you see now why I care so much about how you say his name?" She was speechless for a moment. Then she stood up, walked around the porch, bent down, and shouted at the wind. "Darn, you tricked me!" "Are you upset with me again?" he asked. "Is there more you haven't told me? Sit down. Here's the short story about my family. We have owned a county since the 1700s, before Belgium became a country. My ancestors fought with Napoleon against Austria and Russia. That part is all right. But I'm not proud of what happened after. They were part of the Belgian Congo. They made a lot of money there in the late 1800s. You should read about the Belgian Congo sometime. It was not Belgium's best time, and not my family's either. We have been giving a lot of charity money in Africa ever since, but no amount of money can really fix what Belgium did there. My mother's family once owned forests in Sweden. Her father was wise and slowly sold that land. At the right time, he bought a lot of land here. For every hectare he sold there, he bought 100 here. Trees grow fast here. My father saw that and moved most of his money there too. Our family trust now helps supply wood for nearby paper mills and companies like IKEA and P&G. My cousins live the fancy life in the Alps and the French coast. I get to surf, make video games, and become rich on my own, and be with you." "Sorry to ask, but how rich is your family?" "Our family is worth over $1 billion. That money is split 3 ways. We have some credit lines just in case, but no debt. We make about $180 million a year after tax. We give about 1/3 to charity, sometimes even more. And Linda, that is why I travel 4 times a year, for board meetings and visits to places in our family trust, not for anything else. And meanwhile, we lived in a small townhome. And your friends drove flashy cars they couldn't really afford. Forget them. By the way, what kind of car did Mark have?" "Something flashy and tasteless. You wouldn't like it. Yours is nice. Powerful but nice." They were quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "Thomas, what's the story behind this?" She pointed to her ring. "I've heard that an ancestor who fought with Napoleon bought it from an old, broke Austrian baron after the Battle of Austerlitz. You should look up Austerlitz later. I feel bad I broke that ring. It could have paid for Patrice's university. Please let me fix it." "No," he said quickly. Then after a pause, You said Patrice will be the Count. Does he know? Of course not. In a few years he will. But if he will be the Count, that means you— Yes, my full name is Thomas Antonius Lundgren de Maziernot, Count of Outremont. That's what my Belgian passport says, and it's written in the records of the Raad van Adel. So all this time I have been married to a Count? He just nodded. Gosh, how silly can I be, Thomas? I am so sorry. I can't believe I was so selfish. Linda, don't be too hard on yourself. It's time to move on. He paused. And try not to take too many clonazepam. You know about that too? I've been told. They were quiet for a moment. How should I address you? Nicely, kindly, with all the respect a good husband deserves. No, you goof. I mean like Your Majesty, Your Excellency? He laughed. Those titles are for kings and ministers. But if you want, and I can see this turning into a joke fast, especially if you say it in front of Jeff, does he know? Jeff knows everything. Go on. She waved her hand as if to say please. You may call me Your Grace, Sir Thomas Antonius, Count of Outremont, or just Your Grace, or Sir Thomas. She stood up and made a fake curtsy, repeating it for effect. He looked annoyed. I got it the first time, you know, and by the way, that applies to you too. What? You are the Countess. At least in Belgium you are. I had to send your birth and marriage certificates along with Patrice's birth document. I'm sure you're in the noble records. She was speechless. He stood and bowed. Shall we go to the beach, Your Grace? We can have a very noble fake meat hot dog for lunch there. 0. Can you teach me to surf? Not with my weak leg and your bikini. You'll have to wait. What's wrong with the bikini? Very nice. Love it. But not very strong. This is not a beach where people sunbathe without clothes. And as much as I'd like to see you like that again, I don't want the others around here to— They were silent for a moment. Thomas, can we sleep together tonight? He stayed quiet. Like last night? No, I was thinking maybe a bit more. Last night was fine. I'm not sure about more than that yet, Linda. But you just said— She looked at him carefully, expecting to see anger, but instead saw nervousness. Please, it's been a long time. We can take it slow. It was always you who took care of things before. After we separated, I realized how I always accepted and never gave back. And if we ever got back together, I want to be the one. She was blushing. She stood from her chair, sat on the sand next to him, and gently put her hand on his chest. I like that, Linda, I really do. I'm just not sure I'm ready. She looked at him with hopeful eyes. He sighed. You have to promise me you won't be upset if I can't. Okay. Promise me. I promise. Later they called the babysitter, went out to have an early dinner at the top of the mountain, had some beer since the place was so simple that they didn't serve wine, and returned home after Patrice was in bed. Linda put some music on Spotify and they tried to slow dance, even though they were both a little awkward and nervous. She saw that Thomas was feeling uneasy, and she felt the same, so she just hugged him, kissed him lightly, and rested her head on his chest. It felt nice, and they both relaxed. They sat together on the hammock, and after a while she tried to start something more intimate. Thomas responded after some time, and she gently took his hand and led him to the bedroom. The room was mostly dark, with only a little light coming from the hallway. She carefully helped him take off his clothes and had him lie down. Then she slowly took off her own clothes while he watched. She lay on top of him and felt his body reacting. She moved to the side and kissed him softly, touching him gently. Thomas hesitated at first, but after some time he reached out to touch her. Then she tried to get even closer. Thomas wanted to stop her, but she asked him to trust her and said she would be gentle. He was shaking and said no. She reminded him that they had been close before. As she continued, Thomas was flooded with troubling memories from the past images of Linda with another man, old places they had been together, and moments of love and pain. He started to feel overwhelmed and scared. He whispered for her to stop, but she didn't seem to hear. His thoughts were confused, and he became more upset. He asked her strongly to stop. Finally, pushing her away, he curled up and began crying quietly. He asked her to leave and kept repeating that he couldn't take it. He was very upset and breathing hard. Linda felt shocked and hurt in her heart and her body. She stayed still for a while. After what seemed like a long time, she gathered her clothes, kissed his forehead, gently touched his hair, and then quietly left the room. She went to another place to be alone, to think and rest. The next morning, Thomas woke up alone. On the table was a note in Linda's handwriting. It said she had taken Patrice to school and gone to the airport. She said sorry and that she would always love him but felt they were both not well. She asked him not to call because she wouldn't answer. Later, Thomas tried to ask her why, but his memory was unclear. He remembered pushing her but hoped he hadn't hurt her. She said she was only a little bruised but didn't expect things to turn out that way. His mind was still foggy. Everything from that night felt too much to handle. T. What do you mean? What did I do? Linda, I love you. We have to keep trying. Please don't give up on us. Please? L. Not now, Thomas, but I will send you the travel papers for Patrice that you want. T. Thank you. Linda? L. What? T. If I send Patrice to be with you during school breaks, do you promise to bring him back? L. I promise. Thank you. T. But you bring him back. I want to see you, Linda. Please at least come to Europe with us. For him? L. That I can't promise. I am hurt, Thomas. T. Why? You promised you wouldn't be mad. L. Don't you remember? T. Remember what? I asked you to stop, but you didn't. Linda. Silence. L. Goodbye for now, Thomas. T. Linda, please. Linda? Linda? Why was she doing that? He remembered he had asked her to leave the bed, but she had promised. He wanted to go after her. Could he travel to the U.S.? He called his accountant. They told me not to set foot in the U.S. until March next year. You gave up your residency. We closed your trust. This is a very sensitive time. If you go back, they might try to charge you more taxes or cause trouble. And Thomas, they are watching you closely. I've already got 2 letters asking questions. What if I go in with my other passport? They know you have 2 citizenships. That would only make things worse. It would look like you are trying to hide something. He felt stuck. He walked slowly around his property thinking, what had he done wrong? What was he supposed to remember? He called his assistant at the foundation. I don't know if she's traveling as Mrs. Linda Brown, Linda Maziere, or Brown Maziere. She'll connect through Miami, so it must be American Airlines or a local airline. Please find her and make sure she gets an upgrade to first class. Arrange for someone to meet her at the airport. It's the least I can do. He had nothing else to do. The house felt empty and he felt nervous. At 11 a.m., he went for a swim and stayed in the water for 3 hours. He was very tired when he picked up his son. Mommy left, but she said maybe we'll see each other for Christmas. She said that? Hope stirred inside him. That night, he got one last message from her. Thank you for the upgrade. He looked at his watch. Are you on the plane? He wrote. Yes, she replied. Enjoy, and thank you for the visit. I love you. Please don't give up on me. He saw that she read his message but didn't answer after that. Now it was his turn to be left waiting. A little later, he drank a small glass of aguardiente. Looking down, he noticed a photo album out of place. He pulled it out and opened it. As he looked through it, he found pictures of Camille. He remembered. He had accidentally called Linda by Camille's name. No wonder she was upset. He had a small panic attack then, only the 3rd in his life. He felt foolish. He should have said everything clearly to her before. He was making mistake after mistake. He looked at his watch again. She was flying now. It was okay. He would explain everything to her in the morning. She would understand. He slept well that night. The next day, Linda did not answer her phone. Neither did her parents. He sent her messages, but they didn't get through. Not unread, they didn't arrive at all. He called her regular phone, not just WhatsApp, but she had blocked him. Why? He tried calling her parents' landline, but he remembered it had been disconnected years ago. Emails went unanswered. Why was she ignoring him? He didn't like it at all. What could he do? Jeff. Jeff knew all about Oxford and Camille. Jeff could visit Linda and explain things. He messaged Jeff. Not delivered. He called Jeff. No answer. Then he called Jeff's office. A young helper there said Jeff was on a break in Nepal and wouldn't be back for another 35 days. She thought Jeff told Thomas about it. Thomas said he remembered vaguely and thanked her. Can you help me find my wife Linda, please? He asked. Tell her I just need 5 minutes. Please tell her our son is fine and misses her." The woman knew their situation well. "I will try," she said. A week later, the woman called back. "Sir, I'm not sure how to say this. I found Linda at her parents' house. She said she's not ready to talk to you yet, but she will someday. She said everything is okay and you shouldn't worry. She is happy to hear about your son." "That's good. I'm glad," he said. "But, sir—" The woman hesitated. "What?" "I saw her yesterday at Starbucks with that football player. It was during the day. They weren't close or acting like a couple. They didn't leave together or say goodbye. But I did see them. I thought you should know. I hope I'm doing the right thing." "Claire, right? Can you hire someone to find out more and put it on my bill?" Thomas felt shaky. His world was falling apart again. He sat down hard, breathing fast, even thinking about giving up. But he stopped himself. For Patrice. He had to keep trying for Linda. He couldn't believe she might go back to that man after everything. Jeff would return in 30 days. That might be too late. He could fly to the U.S. and pay the fine. Was Linda worth that? Yes. But then he might be jailed for something he didn't do. It was too risky. He had to find a way to talk to her. But how? Then he remembered. He spent a painful day before finally reaching out to Linda's hospital's head of human resources. He found the right person and called, but she wouldn't answer. He had to go through official channels. His foundation's leader, who was his cousin, called the hospital board chairman. The chairman called the hospital's CEO, who called when the head of HR calls a nurse to her office as soon as possible. It usually means it's urgent unless the nurse is busy with a serious patient. Is this the end? Is this the moment he fears the most? Did Thomas stop my funding? Linda Brown-Mazier? Yes? She was holding a phone. The person on the line went to great lengths to find you. I don't want to talk to him yet. But he wants to talk to you, young lady. I heard him ask for just 5 minutes. I think you owe him that much. Please. I won't leave the room until you say hello." Linda was really annoyed. "Your Grace?" That made her boss raise an eyebrow, but it was close enough to a greeting. She stepped out of the office. "Thomas, really? I told you I'd speak with you when I was ready. Did you have to pull rank on me like that? I'm sorry, I was desperate. I tried everything. I waited for Jeff to come back from his trip to talk to you, but then what? His helper saw you with Mark. Please don't do that, Linda. Don't get back at me. I know what I did, I remember, and there is an explanation. There's some old pain. Camille was. Ancient history. Years before you. She. He started to stammer. This is hard to say, Linda. Can I write it down? Please give me your new phone number. Email? No writing, please. You won't leave me alone if I give you my number. I can't right now. Sorry, not yet, Thomas. Please respect me. You kept me without support for half a year. Now it's your turn. I'll send you a letter then. To the hospital. I won't read it, Thomas. Why are you doing this to me? He sounded desperate. Jeff. Let Jeff explain, please. He'll be back in less than a month. Don't see Mark again before you hear from him, please. He will tell you who Camille and Michael were. I know you must feel jealous. If this is about getting back at me, please don't. I don't have feelings for her, Linda. Only you. I know how it sounds, but she... He cried quietly. He took a deep breath. Please don't break us. Listen to Jeff before you do something you'll regret. Please. Promise. Please. She felt his pain but couldn't help being a little sharp. How does it feel, Mar? I mean, Tom? To be the one left waiting in silence? Bad. Miserable. Thomas, listen. There's nothing you can do. If you call here again, I won't answer. I don't care if they fire me. We will talk again when and only when I am ready. When will that be? When I decide, but I promise I will listen to whatever Jeff has to say, and I won't do anything foolish, not with Mark or anyone else. I told you we both need time to heal. Then why did you meet him? That's none of your business. Goodbye, Thomas. Remember, I love you. I love... Linda took a deep breath and wiped her tears as she left the office. Thomas felt anger and sadness every time he got reports from his private investigator. Linda met with Marc Lebestiere 3 times over the past 3 weeks, always on her days off. Twice they met for coffee in the afternoon, once for lunch. Thomas had the photos. The first time, they said goodbye with a quick hug. The second time, Mark walked her to her car and kissed her on the cheek before she left. At lunch, on the third meeting, he tried to kiss her softly, but she turned away at the last moment. So far, nothing wrong had happened, but Mark knew it was heading that way. He held on to her last words, feeling worried. He could almost picture the divorce papers coming out soon. Jeff was coming back tomorrow. Jeff, Thomas, you may be tired from the flight, but you need to see Linda right away. You have to tell her everything about Camille. Today, please. Jeff, hi, Thomas, how are you? Thomas, Jeff, this is serious. Can I call you? They talked for an hour. Even though Jeff was tired and sleepy from the trip, he set up a meeting with Linda in his office for the next morning. That was fine with Linda. She promised Thomas she would listen to Jeff before doing anything she might regret. Her date with Mark was planned for the night after. She arrived on time. Jeff looked at her carefully. She seemed different, determined, but also tense. He tried to ease the mood. So, Your Grace, may I offer you some coffee? I'm afraid I have no tea or snacks. Linda laughed. To think I've been a countess all these years. Would you have done things differently if you knew what I'm about to tell you? That sounds like you're judging me. Sorry. Remember when you asked why Thomas left Europe so quickly after his PhD? She nodded. I told you to wait and ask him. It's because of Camille. She was his first and only true love before you. He's only been close to 2 women, Camille and you. Both hurt him deeply. Oh no. Camille was a second cousin from Sweden. They dated when he was 16 or 17. She was a year older. Thomas spent winters in Europe and Camille spent Christmases in Brazil. I've got a photo somewhere. I saw one already. You don't have to show me. She also went to Oxford before Thomas did. Jeff took a moment before adding, Linda, Thomas is extremely smart. Many colleges wanted him Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, MIT, Stanford. He chose Oxford to be near her. Lucky me, I got a lifelong friend. Unlucky him. He never shared any of this. He's very low-key. He won't brag. We were 4 friends at university and during our doctorates. Thomas, me, Camille, and Michael. Thomas thought Michael was his best friend. I was a bit jealous sometimes because they liked video games and I didn't. What about Camille and Michael? Yes, Camille was always a little unstable, not quite well emotionally or socially. Looking back now, I can see all the signs that showed he wasn't quite right in the head. Back then, no one knew. But she dated both of them. For her, it seemed normal. She didn't think she was doing anything wrong. She felt like she deserved it. She was with both of them, sometimes on the same day. Later, we found out she even had another boyfriend in Sweden. Michael knew about Thomas, but Thomas didn't know about Michael. One day, Thomas flew to Brazil to get his mother's ring, the one that belonged to you. From a safe place, Linda covered her mouth with her hand and said, to ask Camille to marry him. His mother had already passed away. Camille said yes. They spent the night together. Then Michael walked in on them and acted very upset. The thing is, Michael had been with Camille just 3 hours before Thomas proposed. Thomas took the ring off Camille's finger, got angry with Michael, and left, walking barefoot back to our apartment in his underwear. Linda looked shocked. That ring is cursed. Maybe, I said. There's more. Camille is from a royal family in her country, something like 13th in line for the throne. You know how shy your husband is. He pretends to be brave when he needs to, but really he's shy. After that night, he cut things off with Camille and her whole family. He only meets a few relatives now for work or with an old aunt. He finished his PhD quietly, refused all social invites, released a video game he made, moved to Brazil, sold his company, and showed everyone, especially Camille, that he had made it on his own. He found love again, or so he thought. If that hadn't happened, he would have kept working on his research. The team he was with might win a big award in a few years. He was that good. But instead, he put all his energy into the game and became rich a second time. Linda seemed deep in thought. Linda, he's still watching you closely. He told me what happened in Brazil and that you made up. But then something changed on your last night there, and you just disappeared. You can't be thinking of going out with Mark. What are you doing? There's something I need to get off my chest first, she said. Then things will be okay. Mark couldn't believe his luck. He had heard around town how bad things had gotten after his night with Linda. Her husband got so mad he left the country with their son. Perfect. Then the husband's story came out. He wasn't just some shy computer guy who got lucky with a pretty woman. He was a self-made tech millionaire who kept it low-key. That made Mark's taking the wife even sweeter. He liked making husbands' lives harder, especially those who thought they were better than others. Then Linda went to Brazil to try and fix her marriage, but he couldn't be with her because of the dreams he had about Mark. That was priceless. Then the woman came back, and what did she do? She has that worthless friend of hers, Debbie. D. Useless, not good for anything, set up a coffee meeting with him. This was going to be a big event, especially knowing that her husband would only see everything through the eyes of his private investigator and could not do anything about it because he was not allowed in the U.S. Maybe this time Mark would bring his wife back home to him, all the way to Brazil. Mark had met Linda 3 times. They hadn't kissed or been close yet, but he was sure the spy photos made poor husband Tom very upset already. And tonight was going to be the night. He was going to be with Linda again. Lights on, blinds open, to make sure the investigator got everything on camera. But first, a nice dinner. He wanted to go to the club to show her off, but she wanted dinner. That was fine because he had already booked a table by the window. She was still living with her parents and had told him they could not know about their date. So she said she had taken an extra night shift at the hospital. She went there to change and he picked her up. A strange place to meet, but he understood. He wanted to give the car to the valet as he usually did, but she insisted on parking on the other side of the street, where there was space. Why? He asked. Why not? The street is empty, this side is a park, and valets take too long. Park here, we can leave fast, she said. He liked that. They crossed the street on foot to the restaurant. They had a nice meal and some wine. Mark drank more than Linda. He slipped and called her Lisa once or twice. She pretended not to notice. She went to the restroom once, then twice. She was a little nervous. Mark tried to kiss her a few times, and towards the end, she let him. As they stood to leave, he kissed her again, and his hand slid over her dress. Later, Tom would be sickened when he saw those pictures. Mark touched her a few more times as they left the restaurant. When they reached the sidewalk, she turned to him and put a finger to his lips. Shh. I need to call Dee. 1 second. Hi, Dee. We're heading out now. Sure, I'll tell you everything tomorrow. Hey, stud. Catch me at the car? Dee said as she ran ahead, crossing the street. Mark ran after her, feeling a little dizzy. Linda waited at the curb. Mark was almost at the driver's door when a big truck hit him and his car, dragging him far and causing a serious injury to his legs. This was exactly what Linda and her partner, a man she had contacted before, had planned. Mark never took unnecessary risks. The husband who had been hurt by his wife tried for more than a year to get back at Mark, but Mark always stayed safe. He used helpers like valet drivers, limos, guards, and stayed close to his teammates. The poor husband needed Linda to help him catch Mark off guard. Back in March, Linda did not want to be part of this plan, but when she came back from Brazil, she agreed. She did not mean to get hurt. The truck hit Mark, but it also pushed his expensive car against the curb. Linda was pushed back and hit her head hard on a low barrier by the lawn. She lost consciousness. The next morning, Thomas saw photos and short videos of what happened. He knew what to expect when Jeff called him. I talked with her parents. She has bleeding inside her head, pressing on her brain. Doctors had to remove the blood twice. She's still in the ICU, Jeff said. Jeff, why is this happening to me? Thomas asked. I'm sorry, Thomas, Jeff said quietly. Thomas was torn between asking for a divorce or going to see her, but he could not do either yet. Jeff tried to explain, I don't know why she did this. She cried when I told her about Camille. Then the next day, she went out with that man. You have every right to divorce her. I'd like to handle it myself if I could. But you know deep down you can't do that now. And the courts won't let you for a while. Just be patient. You are not married in practice right now. After another month, Linda's bleeding had stopped. They did scans and found her brain was okay. She was healing on the outside, but she had fallen into a coma 2 days after the accident and would not wake up. The doctors told her parents, who told Jeff, who told Thomas, that she could wake up in a week, a month, a year, or maybe never. The brain is still a mystery to doctors. They also said the more Linda was given activity and care light, sound, gentle movement, the better her chances to wake up. But she was not getting enough of this. Her insurance was running out. They could move her to a regular care center for people in a coma, but she would only get simple care there. Linda's parents thought about suing Mark. Jeff told them it would take too long and Linda had no time to wait. They wanted to sell their house to pay for her care. Jeff took a deep breath and did what he could. Thomas's personal company paid for the best care hospital Linda's co-workers suggested. It cost $200,000 a month, plus extra fees. It was the same hospital where Linda worked. Linda was given constant care and stimulation she needed there. Linda's sister finally contacted Thomas. She said sorry for the first time and thanked him for all he was doing. She spoke for herself and their parents, too. And then she made another mistake. "She loves you, you know." He laughed softly. "If she does, she must have a strange idea of what love means. She comes here to reconnect. I let my guard down. Everything seems fine, happy tears all around. But when things get tough, what does she do? She leaves and goes back to that jerk. What is wrong with her? I think she's cold-hearted, just like Camille. That's my bad luck. Mark my words. I'm ending this marriage as soon as I can, whether she's awake or not. I'm still paying for her care because I respect your parents and I can't live with not helping my son's mother. But it was good that you called. Now I know what I have to do. There's someone in my life who will never hurt me." He said a quick goodbye and hung up. Carol stood there wondering who Camille was, while Thomas called Larissa, his therapist. Epilogue. July 2026. She got out of the taxi, paid with her card, and pulled her coat tighter around her. Light rain touched her face and the wind blew a little. The car's thermometer showed 10 degrees Celsius, maybe 50 Fahrenheit? She didn't think it could be this cold and wet. It was winter in the southern hemisphere. She wasn't very well prepared. The Land Rover was there, parked beside a Subaru. He had a nicer car now. Good. She looked inside the Subaru and saw Patrice's booster seat, not in the Land Rover. She didn't know what to expect. She had just woken up from her coma 2 weeks before and caught a plane as soon as she was better. The doctor said she needed months of therapy before traveling, but she didn't have the time. He had already divorced her. Her father had handled all the legal papers for her. Thomas didn't know why she did what she did, trying to face the big problem they had left between them, and life had to go on. She worried that their chance together was already gone. She had asked Jeff if Thomas was seeing anyone. Jeff didn't know. Thomas had closed himself off again. Jeff offered to call Thomas first and tell him she was coming. She said no. She wanted to see Thomas face to face, not let him shut her out with a phone call. Maybe he would accept her. Maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he had someone new it was a risk she was willing to take. She had to try. She still had hope. After all, he kept paying her medical bills even after the divorce. The doctors were clear she owed her life to his kindness. She had to say thank you in person. A gift that big deserved more than just a phone call. She walked with a cane. Her legs were weak and stiff from the long flight and 10 months in the hospital. She was slowly getting her appetite back, but was still thin and fragile. She needed help with a wheelchair at every airport. The taxi driver brought her bag to the front door. Here goes nothing. Again. She walked up to the house. The door was open. The house felt empty and cold. In Brazil, homes didn't have central heating. Why add it for just 10 days of winter a year? It was 9 in the morning. Patrice was probably at school, but Thomas was nowhere to be seen. Then she noticed a baby stroller with a sleeping baby inside. Her heart dropped. Could it be? Yes, it could be. A baby. If life went on without her and he found someone else, that was fate. She would accept it. This was all her fault. Too many bad choices. A cleaner came out of the bedroom area. In broken Portuguese, Linda asked about Thomas. The woman said, "At the beach, surfing, back at noon," pointing to the clock. Who surfed in weather like that? Linda limped to the guest bathroom, took a quick shower, changed into the warmest clothes she had, and went out again. The cleaner was feeding the baby. The woman had brought her child to work. Miguel, that was his name. A beautiful name for a boy. Linda borrowed a raincoat that was hanging near the side door and slowly made her way to the beach, careful not to slip. She had spent enough time in hospitals to be careful. Thomas was out in the ocean, riding the waves. Her heart skipped a beat. She covered her head with the raincoat, sat on the sand, cold and wet. This winter was nothing compared to what she knew back home, and she waited. Thomas wouldn't see her. He was still a bit short-sighted, not as bad as before, but enough not to notice her. She watched him for a few hours. She thought he was not a good surfer. He missed too many waves. He fell off too early and too often. He was awkward on the board and took a long time to get back behind the waves. That was okay. Her ex was very good at many things: quantum computing, making games, speaking languages, swimming, even fighting. He was the head of a family with a long history. He had every right to be bad at surfing. She also noticed something else. The other surfers, all young kids, showed him respect. They gave him priority in the waves, high-fived him, laughed, and talked. She later learned those were poor kids from nearby neighborhoods. Thomas bought them surfboards and bikes in exchange for their staying in school and away from trouble. Eventually, Thomas got out of the water and took off the top part of his wetsuit. He was tanned, lean, and fit, calm, just as she remembered. He would have to see her soon because she was in his way. She stood up slowly, still hurting, and took careful steps toward him. She was soaked and shivering. He saw her and stopped, frozen. His board fell on the sand. She couldn't tell what he was thinking. "Please, listen to me for 5 minutes," she said quietly. "If you don't like what I say, I will leave." But he had already decided. No matter what she wanted to say, he would give her time. Thomas looked at his ex-wife for a long moment. She looked worn out, tired, and not like the person he once knew. Her face was thin, her eyes sunken, and her hair looked unhealthy. She wore pants and his raincoat so he couldn't see her body, but he was sure she was very thin. He looked at her neck and saw the veins. Her hands showed it too skin and bones. When did she wake up? Shouldn't she be in a hospital? The woman had to be either confused or very tricky, or maybe both. What was so important that you had to fly 10 hours across half the world to tell me this when you look so bad? He pointed at her thin body. Why didn't you just call me? That wasn't the answer she expected. Thomas kept talking. But no. You had to come here without warning because you know I usually won't ask you to leave, right? But this time I will. There are hotels downtown. You can stay there for a few days before you leave. I can call an Uber for you. I will do that if you want, but please just listen to me first. Give me 5 minutes. The woman was wet and shaking. He sighed. 5 minutes. Linda started her story but soon got upset and didn't speak clearly. He thought she would be ready to tell him everything, but she wasn't. Linda, stop. You're wet, shaking, and not well. And I'm starting to feel cold, too. I was in the water for 2 hours. Go up to the house, take a warm bath, eat something, whatever you need. Get warm first. You'll get your 5 minutes later. But I'm still asking you to leave. She looked up the path along the cliff. I don't think I can climb back to the house, she said, pointing at her legs. I'm too weak. You should be in a hospital, not here. But knowing you, I'm not surprised anymore. You just keep making bad choices. Again and again. He looked at the sea. His surfing friends were coming out of the water, watching them. They were local boys with simple lives. He called to them in Portuguese. Ronaldo, Leandro, preciso de favor de voces. I need a favor from you guys. The boys ran over. They would do anything Thomas asked. For them, he was Tio Tomás, or just Tio Uncle. They respected him because he treated them kindly and like the young adults they wanted to be. This is Patrice's mother. She's not well. Can you help her up the steps to the house? You might have to carry her. Tell Layla to get her dry and warm. Maybe a bath and some coffee. I'll stay here and watch our surfboards until you get back. Thomas turned to Linda. These kids will take you up. Layla will look after you in the house. We can talk later. What was he going to do with her now? Thomas watched as the group went toward the path. A few minutes later, another boy, Carlos, came out of the water. Tio, you go with them. I can wait here. Thomas thanked the boy. He was starting to shiver, too. Back at the house. Thank you for paying my medical bills. Everyone told me I'd be dead or seriously hurt without your help, and now I end up as a patient in the same hospital where you got me a job. Linda had finished her shower, eaten, and put on warm clothes. She sat wrapped in a blanket on the couch, her legs folded. She held a cup of very hot coffee. She was trying to start a little chat, but he didn't seem interested. "I didn't do it for you, Linda. I did it for me. I didn't want your death on my mind, bothering me in my final days. And what would I tell Patrice later? I refused to pay for your mother's care when we could afford it? Your son would hate me someday." He stopped for a moment. "And yes, it cost me a lot. Honestly, I wouldn't have helped forever. I gave you 1 year, then back to regular care." He said this in a cold, blunt way. Linda wasn't ready for it. "Well, thanks anyway. Your 5 minutes. Can I ask something before I start? It's been bothering me." He nodded. "Whose baby is that?" He snorted, always a little jealous. "It's mine." She looked at him sadly. "Miguel isn't mine. He belongs to Layla, the housekeeper. Her husband is also named Miguel, the groundskeeper. I let them bring the baby here while they work. It saves them the cost of daycare and a lot of time." He took a deep breath. "Linda, 5 minutes. Go. I hope you're ready this time." She was. In less than 5 minutes, she told him about her part in the plan against Mark. Linda, I don't know if I believe you. But let's say I do. Do you want me to cheer you for almost ruining things and hurting yourself? I know. Looking back, it was foolish." "Foolish? Foolish was what you did back in February." He sounded upset. I don't have a word for it. What's worse than foolish? Silly? Crazy? I don't know. Just tell me. What were you thinking? Why is running off to the U.S., ignoring me for over a month, and planning this against Mark a better way to fix our relationship than staying here and working on it? On us? When did your mind get so mixed up?" He stopped to breathe and continued. "And I had to watch all of that feeling helpless? You knew a private investigator was following you. You must have known. You hurt me on purpose." Linda had answers he might not want to hear. "That night when you told me to leave, you shouted a name, Camille. You mixed people up, Mark and Michael, your old enemy. You were very shaken. Maybe you had PTSD. I'd seen that before in the hospital. I should have seen it in you. I'm sorry I pushed you for closeness. You weren't ready, and I was too eager to be close, so I didn't notice. I'm really sorry for all this." She wiped a tear from her cheek. "Why are you crying now? It's been 9 months. That's plenty of time to get over it." "Not for me, Thomas. For me, it's only been a few days. I remember the accident with Mark's car and waking up just 2 weeks ago. The last few months aren't real to me." "Oh, I hadn't thought about it like that." Thomas was quiet. Linda dried her tears and went on. "Anyway, that night I was shocked. I saw you crying and knew Mark would always be a problem for us. Like an elephant in the room, something big and uncomfortable we couldn't ignore. That elephant had to be dealt with. Not for real, but enough so you could feel better. I wanted to give us some closure and make sure Mark felt some kind of consequence. He had been awful for too long. Too many times, too many women. He had to be stopped." "Linda, honestly, I didn't feel sad about what happened to Mark. People say serves him right, or something like that. But still, you made me go through the same pain I did the first time. I didn't plan to get hit. I was going to come back, say sorry, and never leave your side again. You almost died. And what if you got caught? What if the police thought you and I planned this? I would have denied it. Jake, my partner, would have too. We were ready to face the consequences if we got caught. Nothing would have hurt you." "Yeah, you were ready to tell because you thought I'd have to pay big lawyers for you, just like I paid for your treatment. I wasn't thinking like that. Yes, you were. Don't pretend you weren't." She looked away. "But you didn't answer all my questions. Why did you stop talking to me? Why did you make me suffer? After I left your room, I couldn't sleep. I thought a lot. I was also hurt, Thomas, not just inside. You kicked me. I had a bruise for weeks. But I made you promise. You promised. I know, but that was too much. And you called me Camille. That was the last straw. I needed to get away. I wasn't going to just disappear. That wasn't the plan at first. The plan changed after you sent me those desperate messages. I had time to think while waiting for my flight. I wanted to give you a little bit of your own medicine for a few weeks. Then we'd deal with Mark, and I would come back, say sorry for being quiet, and move on, without the elephant in the room. And you'd be a bit more humble after I made you ask for forgiveness, because you were acting like a spoiled, stuck-up person when I got here. You went from being calm and down-to-earth to bitter and proud. She paused. You did have a reason to be upset at me, but you tricked me, Thomas. You may say you didn't, but you did. Thomas avoided looking at her. She was right about that. But I don't care about that, Thomas. I love you and hope you can forgive me. Do you believe me? You have to. I didn't betray you after I went home. I didn't even want to be close to him at dinner. But he made me. Please, believe me. Thomas stood up and went to the coffee machine. He pressed a button for strong coffee. Suddenly, he felt a bad headache coming on. He took some pain medicine with the coffee, not caring about his stomach. Then he walked back to her. We will talk more later. I have something to do now. If you want, you can go pick up Patrice. It's almost time. You remember the way? She smiled, feeling sorry. I'd love to, but no. I don't think I can drive. Layla can take you. Just go, please. We'll finish talking tonight. That afternoon, Linda left. Thomas locked himself in his office. He spent hours reading the private investigator's reports from October. He watched the videos and looked at the photos again. He also read all the emails he had with Jeff and his friends from when Linda was home. He wished he had recorded the phone calls, too. He had to trust his memory. 3 hours later, he went to the kitchen and made a cup of lemongrass tea from leaves he picked in his garden. He locked himself back in his office, closed his eyes, and thought deeply. He could hear Linda coming back with Patrice, playing in the boys' room. He heard Layla heating dinner for both of them, then the baby crying, and Layla leaving for the night. Thomas didn't come out until Patrice was asleep. He found Linda waiting nervously on the couch. He started right away. I spent all afternoon and evening going over everything the investigator told me. I was looking for something. Did you find it? She asked quietly. Yes. In his reports, videos, and photos. You kept Mark at a distance every time you met him. You only showed enough feeling to keep him interested. You were playing him. It was almost like you knew someone was watching and you were sending me signals. Sometimes it felt like you hurt me on purpose, but other times, it seemed like you were trying to tell me something I didn't see at first. Now that you've explained more, I understand better. Do you believe me? Thomas wasn't done. Also, your story about being set up is the only logical reason for the strange and confusing behavior that month. The other idea is that you were acting like two different people. He took a deep breath. Yes, I believe you. I don't want to, but I do. My heart wants to be angry, but my mind knows your explanation fits. He stood up, grabbed a beer, and went outside. The rain had stopped, and it was very cold, but he didn't care. He didn't offer her a drink. If she wanted one, she could get it herself. He guessed she probably couldn't drink anyway. She walked up to him and touched his shoulder. He didn't pull away. Thomas, there's something else I want to say. Not now, Linda. I'm going to bed. I need to think. You can stay here one night, but I might ask you to leave tomorrow. The next morning, she asked, Can I ask you something? He didn't answer, so she tried again. Are you seeing anyone? Like dating or seeing a doctor? He asked. Both, I guess. She meant dating. I did, both. Both helped me. Larissa? Your therapist? Yes, for a couple of months. Then she left. Why would anyone leave you? He laughed. Ask yourself that, woman. Then he grew serious. She was very smart. She saw through me. She didn't want to be a rebound. I was still married to you, after all. She said if I wanted to try again, it was up to me. And she made me see a psychologist. She was right. Do you know why I forgave you back in August when you came home? You never asked. She shook her head. You were naive, immature, and confused. You made a quick emotional choice at that club, jealous and hurt because of Dee. But we both had faults. We didn't talk enough. I didn't say enough about myself. I should have shared more before February. I didn't want to fight. I was just trying to keep peace and let you have your way. Then you came back, and you had changed. You had grown up, really grown. You lost some of the cheerful spark I loved, but you had improved overall. Even your jealousy had calmed down. I had time to think about my mistakes too because you showed up and stuck around. Thomas looked away down at the ocean. But this time, you plan to hurt someone. That's serious. I get it was for us, but it was harsh. Can I get past that? I don't know. There's something else I need to tell you, Thomas. I wanted to say it last night. She stepped in front of him and made him look at her. I'm sorry. For everything. I wish I could go back to that February and change all my actions. I'd even go back to 2022 and tell myself to leave D, drop those friends and trust you. To travel with you and see who you really are. But I can't go back. I know it's been 9 months for you. Too long. I told you it's been only 2 weeks for me the time I've been awake. It feels like I left you 6 or 7 weeks ago. The pain is still new. They told me how long it had been, and that you had finalized the divorce without me knowing, and I almost fainted. The thought that you didn't know why I did what I did all this time. It broke me again. I just left the hospital. Waiting there was too hard. I had to come see you if only to say sorry, and hope maybe we can fix things. Apologies accepted, he said, but not very warmly. I'm going surfing. She looked at her phone's weather app. But it's only 45 degrees out. That's what wetsuits are for. Can I stay? We'll see. Epilogue. Thomas didn't make her leave, but he didn't really invite her to stay either. She just stayed. She made herself at home in the guest room and went on with her days. She took over some of Patrice's chores and helped around the house. When she could, she gently tried to talk to Thomas. She showed real interest in his family's business. She learned he was thinking about buying a sailboat and went with him to look at a few. One day, she asked if he was working on any new games. He told her he was done with games. Now, he split his time between a project to help the rainforest and doing research in quantum computing. He was working by phone and email with old colleagues on a theory paper. When she asked him to explain it, it went over her head. She slowly gained back some weight and strength, but still needed physical therapy. The only good therapist in town was Larissa. Thomas arranged it. He felt bad and even told Larissa he would pay her double what Linda was paying. But Larissa refused the extra money and took Linda as a patient anyway. Part of Thomas felt a bit amused, in a quiet way, that his ex-wife had to work with his ex-girlfriend. Let her struggle a little, he thought. Thomas began to soften, very slowly. It took Linda a month before she tried to cuddle with him on the couch, another 2 weeks before she shared his bed without anything more, and a full 2 months before they felt close again carefully. By then, she was almost out of time on her tourist visa. She had been looking into the local immigration rules while learning some Portuguese. To stay longer, she would have to become a permanent resident, like getting a U.S. green card. The fastest way to do that was to marry a local citizen, Thomas. She didn't feel she could ask him. One afternoon, she just told him she had to leave in 10 days. You're allowed 90 days a year here, Thomas. Maybe you could visit me or we could meet somewhere else. I'll see what I can do. 2 nights later, they were eating dinner at a small restaurant. Patrice was home with a babysitter. Linda had a good meal. She had learned how to order food in Brazilian restaurants. But she was feeling sad. Thomas, I don't want us to be apart, she said. Me neither, he replied. In the end, I'm better when I'm with you. But I can't stay. I don't know what to do, she said quietly. There is a way, he said. Would you really do that? Marry me again? She was just testing him. She had thought about getting married again before. He chose not to talk about it. If you ask nicely and agree to some rules, I will tell you later, he said. Marry me again, please, she whispered, reaching for his hand across the table. He smiled, the first real smile in a long time. You have to ask me much, much nicer than that, he said. Let's go home and I'll ask you properly, she said. Not home. Right here. Right now, he said. She blushed, feeling nervous. But the place is full. It's embarrassing, she said. That's the whole point. They will think we're crazy foreigners. It will be funny to watch you turn red. And hurry if you want me to say yes. You have 10, 9, 8. She did it.